You are now listening to Out of the Blank.
Formed in Ocean City, Maryland, spawning from the oceans of Mother Earth, comes rock from the moons of Jupiter, groovy, introspective, a piece of them inside of you. I'm here with the Swell Fellas in the Out of the Blank podcast. Now, was that a good intro?
Yeah, that was pretty good.
So.
My dad wrote that.
So, your dad wrote that. When it comes to the idea of this band, now, what's your set vibe here? Because we got three guys. Obviously, you guys are called the Swell Fellas. So that obviously has some type of beach theme to it. But tell me the thought, and, well, first introduce yourselves before I even go into all that.
Connor.
Mark. Chris.
Okay, who does what?
Connor, guitar, vocals.
I'm Mark, and I play bass.
I'm Chris. I play drums and sing sometimes.
Now, who came up with the idea of Swell Fellas?
As in...
The name, or...
Yeah.
So we were... It's pretty funny how this worked out. The funny thing is everyone's like, surf, like you guys surf. It's not it at all. We were just like in a rush for a band name at a battle of the bands before like we even knew this was going to be a thing. We like put it together last minute. We were like, Connor, come back to high school, and he was like, nah. And we were like, yeah. So we put this band together, and it rhymed, and we were like, sick.
Yeah, because immediately when
it rolls off the tongue, let's use it.
Right, and immediately so it didn't link with the ocean at all, like not like surfing at all.
It was kind of just like
that's how I thought.
Yeah, I think that's just like one of those after the fact kind of things.
Yeah,
where you're like, okay,
one of the things you do.
Yeah, that works.
Yeah, right.
So when I do have a question. You have a song on your what's your newest album called?
The Big Grand Entrance. We actually brought a copy for you here.
Sweet. Look at that, free gifts.
Yeah, it's a CD, so I don't know if you have anything that plays it anymore, but
I'm sure
it's pretty
I can find
pretty
something.
retro. Get your Walkman.
But with the saga of Sir Goosenberry, and I actually listened to that one. What was the first of all, that name strikes immediate humor to me. So tell me about your explanation on how you even creating that song.
The name came just from one of those like stupid conversations that you have with each other. Like Chris and I were out somewhere at sort of I'm gonna be like, we were at a party and we came up with this thing.
At the beach.
You were out
But
at Wawa
we
at
kinda-
1 in the morning.
We
Everybody
kind of
matching
were,
towels.
and we were like separated from the group at this friendly gathering because that's what I think tends to happen. And then
Having recreational fun.
yeah, and I don't remember exactly what we were doing.
Well,
but
we were sitting on that L-shaped couch, right?
Yeah.
And we were with a couple of our buddies in a band from Vermont called Peace in the Valley. Some really awesome musicians. And we're out there, and like couple people we graduated like from high school with, and we're just all hanging out, having some recreational fun. And Mark walks over. I think he was just like out taking a piss or something.
Probably.
And he just
I pee a lot, just for the record.
Yeah,
so
he does.
I'll probably have to get up like now, and
It's all good, man.
He just went.
Open door pop.
I thought you wanted the door closed for this podcast. Dude.
That's right. Acoustics. I forgot.
So
Checking the
Mark,
acoustics
anyway,
in
so
the
Mark
Sounds
comes into this sick L-shaped couch on a dock. Super cool spot, actually.
Yeah.
Sits down, looks over at me, and he goes,
I called you.
"How much
that,
recreational fun did you have?"
I don't. That's what I'm saying. I don't know. I don't remember what we were talking about, but I think I called Chris. It's like Sir Goosenberry, and then he said Junior at the end. He just kind of capped it, and then we thought it was funny, and we usually always have like these just notes in our phone of like ridiculous things that were said that otherwise we wouldn't remember if we didn't write them down.
Oh yeah.
And then and then so we used that, but that was probably like, I don't know how long before we actually were writing music and we're like, that should be a song name. How long that actually happened, like when I said it or when we said it.
Right.
Probably
that was the
happened
summer,
pretty fast.
That was the
actually.
summer after we became a band. That was the first year of our. So we
Because we had moved back from Austin. We'd already met those guys because they were here visiting. So
Yeah.
that happened in the spring, and then we started working on that song in the summer. So it was
Yeah.
pretty quick.
Do you guys find that when you guys are creating songs, you kind of set yourself off like aside, like phones off type situation? Like usually when I do a podcast or something, like if I'm getting like into conversation with somebody, you're just talking to me. You're not.
Yeah.
You don't have to worry about impressing anybody. So it's like everything I'm gonna want to ask you is what I want to know.
Yeah.
So when I start recording, I usually I want to be disconnected from the phone just because I don't really like looking at it unless it's like maybe a little bit of research. But I tend just to try and think of the questions in my own head. So when you guys write this music, do you guys really just kind of close yourself off from, I wouldn't say the world, but just kind of the outside a little bit, like put yourselves in like just the studio and just kind of sound off, or do you guys play any music to get you guys going?
Yeah, I wouldn't say, I mean, we have like our practice space, which definitely feels like a separate place where we get to write and like we can kind of like think about things and write, but I wouldn't say it's completely like phones off, because when we write we tend to record like with our phones like what we're playing, like as the song is like kind of getting into like different stages of being completed. We're constantly like recording, like once we're like, oh, it'd be cool if we did a part like this, and then we nail it, we're like, let's record that. So like at least one of us has our phone out for the purpose of recording, but we're not usually like on it the whole time like we're writing, but we use our phone more as like a tool for writing, so that it's kind of these moments where like if we didn't record us kind of, I don't want to say jamming, but like jamming over these songs that aren't quite done yet, you would lose a lot of ideas. Like you'll listen to a lot of recordings of like us kind of trying to work songs out, and then you'll listen to it the next day and you'll be like, oh, I forgot that I even did that. So.
And sometimes when you listen to it the next day, you're like, what was I thinking?
Right, yeah, exactly. So
luckily, since we have three minds, like we write pretty like always, it's almost always together. Like someone will bring an idea, but we kind of configure songs completely as the trio usually, and luckily we don't ever really have what was I thinking thing happen. I feel like we don't really take ideas
super seriously.
We don't take them too far if we're not feeling it. Like I feel like the ones that we start to feel, they just start to blossom and like they're done in a couple sessions, like those are the best songs because it just like the ideas flow so feeling so seamlessly. And then other ones when you're like struggling to put things together, it can get kind of like, I don't know, you lose a sense of connection with that piece.
Do you ever have like a moment where you're just kind of like it's just you like in the kitchen making something, and then immediately like you get this inspiration to start writing music, like you just go in there like Connor sleeper or something, you just kick him, wake him up, come on, we got something to do?
Usually I feel like, I speaking for myself, if I ever have like an idea, I'll just like sing it into my phone real quick, so it's like captured, just like you said, like the voice memos are like so clutch, on the move all the time. I usually have my notebook with me. If not, I have my notes too, so if there's ever a lyrical idea, even if it's just like 4 words or if it's a whole paragraph, like it's written down. So I've got like a backlog of all the stuff that, like you said, comes up out of nowhere seemingly. And out of nowhere seems to be behind the wheel of a car, which like isn't very
it's safe to pull out.
It's not, but I do it anyway. It's like I have to. It's like if I forget, like, and then I'll park and I'll get lost in the song I'm listening to and be like, what was that idea? And like I'll just forget it. It gets right over my head. So
I always found like I played with in a band for a little bit with my brother. Just like I felt more like he was telling me what to do, and I really couldn't reach. I feel like my musical grasp didn't really reach that far. I feel like I'm more. Like, if you look at my Netflix or something, it's always comedy specials or something like that. I'm more of like the kind of sense of humor, crack a joke, like a fart joke or something in an awkward room type guy. And everyone else seemed to be more musically inclined than me. I felt like it was more of a hard process, but it seems like you guys all pick it up pretty easily and you guys all vibe pretty well with it. I mean, the one thing you have to have in a band, I'm pretty sure you guys know this too, is you all have to vibe together. You all have to have the same wants, same desires, same really need of what you want to get out of something for a band to even make it. Because a lot of times bands break up. There's always one dude that wants to be famous. There's always one dude that cares about the music. There's always one dude that cares about the money. Mm-hmm. You need everyone to kind of feel the same vibe, which I get from you guys, kind of the same way I get from Red Hot Chili Peppers. Like, you can tell who's linked in the band. Obviously, you get Flea and Chad that play off each other just because how similar like the bass and the drums are when it comes to keeping beat and kind of, you know, everything going.
See, they're playing in Egypt.
Yeah, no, isn't that sick?
So sick. Egyptian pyramids. Can you freaking imagine, dude?
That'll be you guys one day.
Dude, nah.
At that point, I'm pretty sure we'll be in outer space. You guys will probably be like one of the first bands.
Dude, I bet there's pyramids in outer space.
On Mars when we
Yeah.
populate
Dude.
Mars.
I can
Yeah,
get
who
into
do you
some
think-
conspiracy theories.
who do you
about
think-
Dude, I
will
mean,
play
Shada
first
just landed on
concert
the
on
far
Mars?
side of the moon.
The
Like,
dark side.
the
Chain smokers.
Have you seen Japan's working on the space elevator?
What?
It's literally a giant tube that goes from Earth all the way up to the moon.
Did they hire Elon Musk to help them?
They're actually something with Elon Musk is involved. There's an article, you guys can look it up, but it's a carbon fiber tunnel. It's literally just a straight tunnel going up to this station up on like in space. I'm like, what happens if a bird or a plane hits
Dude,
that?
that's some artificial resurrection shit right there. They're like just trying to create Korean Jesus.
Korean Jesus.
That's
Crazy.
That sounds like another song you guys are about to
Korean
Jesus.
the saga of Korean Jesus.
So-
One-way ticket to space.
What would you say would be your most popular song? Because I think I've heard one of them on the radio. It's Reckless, or is
Weightless.
it Couch Lock?
We
Both of
actually
those are in
Weightless isn't
rotation
on the
now.
radio, is it?
Yeah, it
'Cause
is
it
now.
is.
Now that because Weightless is the only song we've ever re-released. We put that on that new album just because it was a song that we felt like with just how we did things before, like it didn't. I don't know. It just didn't live up to how good it could be. We wanted to like revamp it, so we put that on the album too. And now, yeah, the radio station's got Weightless now too.
So, if I had to ask each, obviously you guys all have a particular song that you guys enjoy the most out of every single one you've made. But if I had to ask you each individually which one would be your favorite, what would you say, Connor?
Honestly, I would just say anything off the new the new album. Really, I mean, because I feel like all in all, it like summed up all of that music together. Sort of like makes it feel complete, you know. Because there's a lot of different stuff on there that you know, there's for a lot of different moods or you know, a lot of different parts of the last 2 years of you know what went into making it. So, you know, just being able to like look back and see the whole journey of every piece of it kind of slowly come together and then hear it all together.
I have to admit that artwork on there is badass.
Dude, shout out
It's
our
great.
boy Pete
Yeah.
at Pedro Mule. He's killer, man. Like, and he worked with us the whole way. He'd come over and we'd chill out, have a beer, and we'd just talk and listen to music and like throw some ideas around. But I mean, man, we had like a very minuscule idea of what we wanted, and we just threw it his way, and like he just worked his magic. It was rad.
Did you guys have a typical influence on which way you wanted your band to kind of play musically? Just the vibe of music that you guys are into, or do you guys find that like a certain like Sublime or influence kind of hit you there?
I mean, I think we, and going back to the new album, I think a lot of what made us love it so much is us feeling like we kind of just found our own thing. In the process of, like, when it came around to, you know, finish these songs up and track it, like, we feel like there's a sound on there that we haven't heard before. And that's honestly, like, I think what we, obviously any new band wants to try to find, you know, and, you know, we feel, I think, fortunate to have found it. We definitely all have our own musical influences, but we definitely don't want to sound like any of them.
Yeah, you want your own little outlet
Yeah.
too. I have a funny story about one of your songs on here. Is that the Roman numeral 6? Okay, well, I had to look that up because I didn't know what that exact Roman numeral meant. And so I typed in, what does this note, like, VI mean? And it gave me, like, a list of things in, like, dictionary to Urban Dictionary. One of them is violent indicadence, which is, like, staging of violence. I was like, is that what this song means? Someone could get that from listening to it. Because listening to your songs, I was, like, listening last night and the night before. I was like, yeah, I was doing my research. And then I'm listening to them. I'm like, they all have, like, kind of like a... I mean, they have vocals. Some of them, like, are very vocal compared to others. A lot of them seem more like dub style, like, where they're just, like, you're focusing more on the music. And then One of them sounded like I felt like I was in an apocalyptic world. I don't know which one that was. I don't know if that was it's even on here, but it's Advocatus. I don't even know how to say that.
Advocatus diaboli.
Yeah, that one sounded like it felt like I was like. I'm pretty sure it was that one. That felt like I was walking through like an apocalypse type deal.
Right on. Yeah, that one's a bass instrumental track.
Oh, Mark.
Yeah.
Mr. Marky Mark.
Yeah.
So you created that like bass line and everything yourself? Obviously, you guys create your own beats, right? You know.
Yeah, we're all like individually. We all write our own parts, and we'll always like if we're in the room together writing a song, like if one of us can't figure it out, like we will throw suggestions at the person, you know, like that.
Like
that
aim
happens,
in this direction.
That happens all the time. Yeah, like if someone's like unsure what to do, you know, like I'm always sure to like ask around because once my ideas run out, like they could have a better one, you know, and then it's just like boom, play it, and you're like, yeah, damn, it actually worked that way yesterday.
Yeah,
like,
I was about to say that just made me think of the halftime thing.
Yeah, it worked yesterday. I was like sometimes you're like trying to make things like a little more than what they have to be, and other times you're not playing enough, you know, so it's like trying to figure out where that line is drawn, but getting someone else's idea on it like can always like blossom a new one, you know what I mean? So
well, you gotta understand when you're creating like songs and stuff, a lot of people always say I have a favorite, I have a not so favorite, I like this type of music. Obviously you're gonna have your opinions and your suggestions on what, but I don't see any type of music as bad. I see all types of music as it's a creative work of art. I mean, you're putting your piece all together, and you're basically creating something out of nothing. And I think that's beautiful. That's why it's like you can't judge. You can't say that song's crappy. Obviously, there's going to be parts where, a studio or a producer or somebody really takes a song and then turns it into something that completely was not meant to be. Mm-hmm. But when you write and you're putting your mood and basically passions into your songwriting process, even if it's just a joke, like if you're just thinking Sir Goosenberry, like writing a random name just because you can't think of one, doesn't mean that the song's a joke, doesn't mean anything like that. It just means that, you're having fun doing what you guys love to do, which is something that you guys can I can tell when you guys are on stage and you guys are playing together. You're all vibing, and, a crowd can feel that. Mm-hmm. Like, if you're, if let's say Mark had a problem with Chris or something.
I got a ton of problems.
Yeah, we all have our demons.
I believe it. But it's like when you're.
We actually hate each other.
Yeah. If you guys are good at hiding it, but if you guys.
Mark has his own room in the studio where we just lock him and it's pitch black so that none of us have to look at his face.
As soon as this recorder goes off, you guys are just beating the crap out of each
other.
But it's like if you bring that on stage, it's. The audience is going to be able to tell that there's not a good connection there. Like, if you ever seen Red Hot Chili Peppers live at the Slane Castle, if you're watching it, you can tell, like, between John and, like, Anthony, there's a bit of, like, a tension in the beginning, and then, like, as and then you find out later after, like, maybe a couple of months after the concert's over that, the band breaks up because of the confliction between them. And then, like, even with the Stadium Arcadium interview that they had, it was Chad and Flea in a room, and then it was it was Chad and John, and then Anthony and Flea in a room, and you could tell it was because John and Anthony didn't want to be in the same room together.
Yeah.
So if you bring that onto stage, people are going to be able to tell, even if you're trying to hide it as best as possible. People are going to tell that you're not vibing, and then they won't eventually vibe with you guys. Mm-hmm. But you guys, when I see you guys on stage, it's like having fun. You guys are enjoying everything. You guys are, you're into the creative music. You're not worried about, who's out there. You're playing for the enjoyment of it, which is the main reason why bands need that to kind of stick together and kind of keep on going, which I think the Swell Fellas are going to go somewhere. Thanks. Obviously, you guys have traveled, and what's your most popular tour, I would ask?
As far as, like...
farthest you've gone.
We've been up and down the whole like East Coast mostly. The farthest we've played is Vermont. We went up to Montreal at one point and we couldn't play because one of the members in the band other band we were playing with was underage. Like it was like 18 was the drinking age there, and he was 17.
What?
And they found out when we got there, and they're like, "Nah, you can't." So we just ended up hanging out in Montreal that night. But struggles of a band that no one knows about. But we hung out in Montreal. It was cool spot. But yeah, Vermont we played, and then we've been down. We go down to St. Augustine a lot. We really like it down there.
Do you guys have any crazy band stories? Like your craziest, funnest experience?
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely a lot of them, you know, like, and just a lot of, like, I would say, like, good road stories in general, like, for good or bad, you know, like, we've already had van breakdowns, and a lot of the,
Dude, we toured down to Florida for a couple shows. We missed 2 shows because a van broke down on our first tour, and we rented a U-Haul for, like, it ended up being, like, $1,200 for, like, the round trip, like, down to Florida and back, because van broke down. we got stuck in this place like Stony Creek, man. What was the population? Virginia. It was like
not a lot.
12.
If you live in Stony Creek, Virginia, which I doubt you do because you probably don't have a computer, just you should probably move because we felt like we were going insane, dude. We got stuck at this hotel next to a truck stop for like. With Carter was the mechanic's name. Fucking Carter, dude. Mm-hmm. We would call him and he could barely speak English through like the 2 teeth that he had. And he was just like,
he kind of looked like the dude from Making a Murderer, you know?
Oh yeah,
like,
I know.
Stephen Avery.
Yeah.
He kind of looks like him.
Yeah. This sounds like a place that doesn't pop up on the GPS.
And honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if he's killed someone before. Like, he scared me.
Did you at least see the biggest ball of yarn while you were there? Sounds like
just
that's
rolling.
Yeah,
through the truck stop.
No, so there was a Starbucks, a Subway, and actually, funny, we just in December, we were on the road, and we made it a point to stop there. And it was like...
It's right on 95.
Flashbacks, dude. Yeah. I was like itching, trying to get out there. I was scared we get stuck again.
Holy shit! They still have a Blockbuster.
Yeah. Dude, I don't think they own VCRs. I don't know what they do out there. Tractor pools. They grass feed humans. Yeah. They have human pastures out there.
Yeah. Eventually, we were there for 2 days, just kind of stuck waiting on any kind of repair to be made on the van. Finally, it was repaired enough for us to like trek the 45 minutes
to the
north up 95, like back to Richmond area, where we were able to hit our U-Haul rental place, rent a U-Haul van, and move all our gear into that and truck it all the way down to Florida.
Yeah.
And
do you find those? I mean, those are the funnest times to those are what create stories. Maybe at the time you're all pissed off that your band is broken and everything, but you're looking back at it now and you all have smiles on your faces.
Yeah. I mean, it was pretty sick. Like the U-Haul we had was there was a big back space in it, and there was 2 front seats, and then in the back we set up with like a bunch of pillows and sleeping bags and stuff. So there was like a full size bed in the back with all of our gear. You just had to make sure nothing fell on you, you know. But it was nice. You could go out back there.
Mark's getting knocked out with a snare.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
Mark's definitely the one that sleeps the most in the van.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, it was
He sleeps the most at home.
It only sat 2 people, so if we got pulled over, it definitely wouldn't be cool. But we'd never.
We would just throw him in the bass drum bag and he'd be chilling.
Yeah.
Get him through airport security that way too.
Yeah, right.
There's other things we need to worry about getting through security at the airport.
What you trying to say, Chris?
Recreational fun.
Recreational fun. That's definitely it's never bad. But so when you guys are doing the writing process and you're in the studio, like kind of having fun with it, do you just? I mean, is there any specifics that you can give me, like someone that doesn't really write music, but like if you're gonna inspire somebody to kind of sit down and write, obviously besides find a good, positive influence around you, like, recreational and friends wise too, what would you give me advice on?
No, I don't know. Go ahead.
Dude. I would say just like honestly, when it comes to making music, like you can't go in with like a stigma of what's like you need to do or like what you have to do. Like it's honestly just like almost expressing your emotion, but like trying to do it through a form of trying to capture an emotion in a piece.
I think I might have phrased that question a little wrong, but the way I was thinking of it, like Steven Tyler said that like there's 2, he sat himself down sometimes to write a song. Like I said, I'm going to write this song, I'm not going to leave until I do it. and then he'd be like, the words are going to come out now, and then he would just start writing, and then he found like a bunch of different stuff. Like his story on, I think it was Dream On, one of those songs, he was sitting at Woodstock, like it was like 3 days over, and it's around the time the military was dropping in supplies
Vietnam or
for some area that was nearby, and it was like a bunch of pots and pans. So it's him and just like 3 other guys, and then they're like start grabbing the pots and pans and then I'll start beating on them, and the next thing you know they're dropping hot dogs and all these types of stuff. But they're sitting there and one of them's just tapping and making a beat on pots and pans. Next thing you know, some guy comes up with some spoons, starts tapping them, and then they all start creating this song. And the next thing you know, there's like, 5 or 6 people just all playing, and then a beat was born. Mm-hmm. Like there's moments like that where it's like a sudden inspiration or just like a random like off the cuff type deal. But like when you see people that are struggling, kind of freaking out, and like in a place like they feel like they're not going anywhere when they're creating a song or they're trying to make something of themselves, any advice that you would have to give them?
Maybe, I don't know, it depends. I mean, don't force it, maybe, is the one thing. I guess for like, I mean, it's easy for us to say that, or for like, because we don't have to hit deadlines. Like, we're a really small band that like produces.
Seems to come easy to
our
you
own.
too.
Well, it's like we produce our own music, so it's not like we're like on a label that's like, you guys said you're gonna do a new record, cool. It has to be done in April, so like do it, and then that kind of thing. It's like we don't really have to do that. So I'm not a big fan of like we're gonna sit down and like out of thin air like, all right, come up with something. Like I can try, but like I don't want to say like I'm definitely gonna make something that we're gonna use. Like most of the time, like for myself, like if I'm writing like riff like bass or guitar or whatever, it's like because I was just like, oh yeah, that sounds good, I'm going to do that right now, or I'm sitting down and doing it. I don't think forcing yourself to sit down and say like, I'm going to write a song and I have to, like in the next couple hours, like for me, I don't think that works. But I know like hearing a lot of like bands that are a little bit bigger, like deadlines are good for some of those people because they have to hit them. And if they don't, well, it's one of those things where like, if they don't have a deadline, they'll just keep going back and changing things like that. So for some people, like setting a deadline is good, saying like I only have this amount of time to work on this song, because some people will just, it's one of those things like we feel that way, I think, when we are, after the song is written and recorded and we're like on the computer like doing mixing and like effects and stuff like that, like we'll just go back and be like, actually no, that should be this way, and so sometimes like setting a deadline can be a good thing, because it's like you just have to
keeps yourself
hear it
motivated.
Yeah, you just have to hear it for what it is and say it's good. But I guess just don't force it, and if you're truly like you hear it and you're like not super into it, then don't settle for that. Maybe
a lot of times you hear about like people like just complaining that they can't get the writing process down, that like nothing's coming to their mind, and then if they do write something that they spend a lot of time into, they're really upset that if someone says it doesn't sound good to them.
Yeah.
And I'm like, you can't think of it that way.
Yeah.
You got to think of it like, if you're going to make music, you got to make music knowing that there's going to be people that hate it, but there's obviously going to be people that like it. There's going to be people that listen to this podcast. There's going to be people that are not going to like my voice, that are going to like my voice.
Yeah.
When I listen to it, like when I edit them or something, I hate hearing all the but-ums and all that in it. And I hate basically the sound of my voice to the point where I just put the podcast up. But at the same time, when you guys are writing music, you're not writing for a specific person out there. You're not writing to try and get the most likes as possible. Obviously, that's the intentional goal, but you're really writing music for yourselves too, in a way. Like, you want to have fun. You enjoy doing this. You're trying to, make something out of it. Like, whether it's, being on stage and playing in front of hundreds of people or playing in front of thousands of people. As long as someone is getting a positive reaction, and like, music's all about creating mood too. So when you are putting your mood, like if you feel angry, if you're trying to aim a song in a certain direction, if someone listens to that, we all know that affects us and puts out emotion onto us. I mean, when you're listening to, Metallica, or you're listening to a reggae band like Sublime or something, they're going to give you two different, emotions sometimes. And sometimes it's that thing you just want to turn the radio all the way up, roll the windows down, and just start singing. And some dude's saying, "Hey, who sings that song?" You're like, "Oh, it's Sublime. Why don't you let them sing it?" It's like, okay, well, fuck you, I'm enjoying it.
Yeah.
So it's like, that's what I feel like you guys, your overall intent here is with the Swell Fellas. Like, you guys are just playing for yourselves and at the same time playing for anybody that wants to hear.
Yeah. Well, I think the thing is, like, the second you turn it into something that's for people and not for yourself, that's when the passion, like, is gone, you know? Like, if you're not making it for yourself, you're gonna get burned out on it.
Yeah.
But if you consistently, like, continue to, like, wow yourself, then you're never gonna want to stop doing it, you know? And I feel like the second you start aiming for things, like aiming for people or demographics, you know, that shit should just come with whoever feels the same way you do.
Yeah, you can kind of see through that in bands that write that way, because it just, you can see it just feels gimmicky in a way, like when they like are trying to appeal to like it being a thing that's going to be well perceived, or like just to like sound like a certain band. It's like a lot of times you can kind of see that, and for us it's like, if we're not doing it for ourselves, and like that rewarding thing of doing it for yourself and then like someone else getting enjoyment out of it, like that wouldn't happen. It's like if you're writing it for other people and someone enjoys it, then yeah, you got what you wanted. And that, not saying that that's easy, but it's kind of like, it's really crazy when you write something that you feel like was kind of like out of nothing, that we were saying, or like out of the blue and
from the heart,
right? And it feels
Let's
super
say out of the blank.
out of the blank, right?
Damn,
There's
name
there's your
drop.
plug. And yeah, you write something like that, just kind of, you know, and then you're super proud of it, and then someone is really stoked on it. I think that's the ultimate goal, is like, you know, we as the three of us like listen to so much music, and it just seems, I know for me, like sometimes like sitting down, like trying to write something, it's like you listen to so much music and you have your opinions of like, oh, that's really good, and like I like this band a lot, and like maybe I don't like this one. But then when you go to sit down and write your own stuff, you just, sometimes I just feel like, I'm like, what am I doing? Like, it feels like I've never, like, it's like I go to write a riff or like whatever, and then I'm like, I suddenly don't know what I think is cool anymore. You know, it's like you suddenly are just like, I don't know what to do, you know, because you want to make something that you think is cool, but also not just like a rip of something else that can be easily kind of heard, because then at the end of the day, like, what is the point of that?
You know, it's funny, Steven Tyler, you wouldn't believe this, but he used to ask himself all the time when he was writing a song, would Bob Dylan do this? And you're thinking, whoa, that's like, don't ever look at Bob Dylan in that, you know, that type of light, especially when you're Steven Tyler. But he even said when he was riding his own roller coaster, like, they created a number of songs, like 21 songs, but they only put 13 on an album. Did you guys do that same thing too, where you guys had a bunch of other songs, or every song that's on these albums is all the songs you've created? Obviously, there's probably some that were lost in like transcripts somewhere, but
we had a few we tossed out that because it didn't fit the overall like vibe, and like we feel like that flows really. This album that we just put out flows really well. We had a couple with like more of our funk influence on, and we were just like, it doesn't work, you know, it doesn't work with the other songs, so we just left them off. Who knows if we'll even ever put them out, you know, like at this point we're not even sure, but we've got other things in the works right now that we're really stoked on, so you know, we're constantly like playing around with ideas.
Well, next time you guys are in Virginia and you guys get lost somewhere, and next thing you know, the Swell Fellas are missing, and then we can't find you guys for a couple of years, maybe those songs get released and be worth a lot of money.
Yeah, someone's got to hack into the Connor's laptop.
Yeah.
Mr. Carter.
Yeah, that you hear that happen a lot, like with like, you know, like
they found Michael Jackson's journal, and it had a bunch of unwritten songs, or a bunch of like written songs in there that were never produced and everything, and some dude bought it for like $4 million.
Shit.
That's crazy.
Start writing some random words down, like a grocery list, and then save it.
Someone will see it and be like, "Oh, look at this song!
Wow,
yeah,
potatoes, carrots,
so many
hot pockets,
vegetables. That's
that's his influence."
Yeah.
But yeah, you were saying with like Steven Tyler, Aerosmith, or whatever, they had like 21 songs and ended up being less. I think that happens a lot. I don't think it's like mandatory, like you should be planning to write more than you're gonna put on, but a lot of the times, like, I think maybe don't be afraid to do something like what we did, which was like, we have all these songs, and and just because we wrote them, we had like, you have to sit back and look at them and be like, because we're like very much an album type of band, like we like albums and like listening to records like all the way through and kind of like seeing a song for what it is in the middle
Not
of an
just
album,
buying
and
a
not
CD
just like a
and
single, like
having
very
one
much
single song on
very
it,
much like yeah, and so like you have to kind of, if you're like making an album and you have all this stuff recorded, I think it's good to, at least for us, to like look back and see like, okay, how does this fit? Like, to put them in a record. Does that song not fit? Then like just don't put it out. Like there's no.
That's the way.
Shouldn't be afraid to.
He was like, make
it.
21 songs, and then if you're gonna pick 13, pick the best 13. But I was like, everyone's gonna have their own decision on what the best 13 is. So you guys gotta come down to an overall. Like, first of all, if I created one song and then I created 10 songs, I'm gonna think they're all golden. And if you tell me they're not, I'm like, well, you can just kiss my ass because they took a long time to make.
Yeah.
But it's like, it's easier, I guess, with you when you have you guys.
Yeah.
There's 3 of you that are choosing in between these songs because you gotta like, I like that one. I also like that one. I mean, they're all obviously good, but you know, they're all gonna vibe differently. You can't have you know, some classic Beethoven type song and then have on another, you know, track down the road it's reggae or metal or something. It's like that wouldn't clash together. Someone's gonna be listening to that like, what were they tripping on when they did that? You know?
And for some bands that works, you know, and for we want to be able to do whatever we want to do, you know, whether that means we're gonna write a funk, like a, you know, in the first 6 songs there's a couple like funk influences, like halftime dubs,
A Pretty Little Ditty. I got you.
Yeah, so like having that freedom to be able to create whatever type of music that feels good is definitely, it's like that's like the ultimate goal. And whether that be a metal breakdown or like just a real funky ass like chunk on the guitar, you know, like, or a slap bass line or like whatever, you know,
or just a random like 30-second song in there where you have Mark throat singing
Exactly.
and
deep throating.
Yeah, it's like just screaming through. Someone's gonna be listening to that like, what is
Look
going
out for
on?
the next album. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Exactly.
That's what you guys should do. You guys should get into European throat singing.
Yeah.
Dude, we weren't practicing throat singing, but we were practicing our Eddie Vedder on our last trip down to St. Augustine. We should definitely put out like a 90s tribute album. Even floor.
Yeah.
You guys have any type of like rituals you guys do that kind of get you guys in the mood or get you guys like kind of like in the vibe, I guess you should say?
I mean,
Mark's been putting guac on his face since he was like 10.
What?
Maybe on the second podcast we'll get into it, but
Yeah.
for that one we'll just leave you with that.
Salt to taste.
definitely a lot of coffee, definitely a lot of beer.
Yeah.
You know?
For writing or for gigs or for
Yeah.
both, I mean, like just in general.
I guess, I mean, yeah,
Yeah.
for writing mostly. I mean, do you guys have a certain type for a gig too? Because, I mean, a lot of bands, like, sometimes, like, when they're doing, like, a ritual, someone's got to, like, Steven Tyler lit candles, and then, like...
Dude.
Yeah, none of that
We
stuff.
just don't have the time.
None
like,
of that stuff.
So when you're at the stage we're at, right? There's a lot of like unprofessional people in a professional world. So like you deal a lot with like setting up last minute and then having to get up there like hoping you set everything up right and then just play your show and like get it everywhere.
Yeah,
so
like no sound
it's
check.
it's
just like a
almost
line check, you know, like you're just like, all right, that mic works.
Yeah.
Guitar
And
mic works.
That doesn't
like,
really
and then
allow
the other-
you, like,
yeah.
sometimes, like, it doesn't even allow you to get into the headspace that you're playing a show, like, immediately. And other times when you sound check and do everything ahead of time, like, you have the time to, like, sit back, get yourself mentally prepared. Other times you're like, I'm, like, struggling to put my last cymbal on, like, you know, the freaking wing nuts are flying all over the floor, and I'm like, shit, like, I gotta chase that one down.
Yeah.
Like, ask them every gig. I'm like, hey, can you grab that for me? Like, sitting behind it. I'm like, hey, can you grab that for me? But it's like, sometimes you'll get up there, and, like, you literally have no time to even think about the fact you're playing a show. You're just setting your shit up, and the next thing you know, you're supposed to, like, play for people, and, like, sometimes it takes 30 minutes to just get warmed up to that.
Yeah, definitely. Like, and especially when our set times, you know, for that type of show too, you're normally playing for only like 45 minutes. So like, by the time you start to feel warmed up, you're sort of like
Getting right
walking
off
off the stage.
Yeah.
Whereas I was actually watching this It's funny, we were talking about Chili Peppers. I was watching this Chad Smith documentary the other day. Definitely a favorite drummer of mine, but
The bombastic meat bats.
yeah, dude, right? He's killer. But I was watching this documentary on YouTube the other day about like his childhood and growing up life. But like at one point he's playing in like the back room before a show, you know, like with this little practice kit. And then, actually, no, this was on a different video I watched after it, like, right away. It was on, like, suggested on YouTube or whatever. You know, you dive down those holes of videos.
Oh, yeah, dude, it'll be 3 o'clock in the morning, I got, like, a bidet in my Amazon cart.
Yeah, you're watching a banana stroll down an artificial street or some shit.
The best advice I got was keep my bank card in my car, because it'll be 2 o'clock in the morning, I'll be on Amazon shopping shrimp pillows and things of that sort.
Oh, please. We got Amazon Prime, and you can literally just hit buy now and swipe your finger, and it's like, on the way.
Yeah,
you're like, sick.
Your card's already in there.
I bought a reading light last
I've talked
night.
about this before. There's going to be a point where they're going to be like, it's Amazon one-day ship, where as soon as you order it, it's on your freaking doorstep, and it's going to be drones dropping off. Imagine how much of those drones are going to just crash through your window and just start tearing up your freaking bedroom.
Dude,
you're like, shit.
I'm gonna be a drone capture. Like, they're gonna have bounties and stuff, and I'm gonna make a bunch of money by selling Amazon's drones. That's my plan.
Good
It's
God.
my back. It's plan B.
I'm just going to order a bunch of Swell Fellas shit to my house.
Yeah.
You guys, I mean, your shirts are dope, I'm not going to lie. You have that one, I think it's like white and red. I don't
Yeah,
know
the
what you
ringer
got.
tee.
That's a
Yeah.
badass. It makes me think of like the movie Hot Rod,
Nice.
like that kind of setting.
It's a great movie.
Nice. Very cool.
Yeah, that shirt was recently on Jimmy Kimmel's Who's High segment. Shout out to our...
Yeah, what was up with that?
Shout out to Drew Baker.
Yeah.
I guess Drew Baker was skating down like the Green Mile in LA, which is like where all the like cannabis doctors and stuff are, and Jimmy Kimmel had like this tent set up with like lights and cameras and stuff, and they asked him to be on the show, and he was wearing our shirt, and just was asked to like come high for the event, and it was like a Who's High thing, and so he said he's like smoked some.
Wait, Jimmy Kimmel asked him to come high?
Yeah.
Because it's a Who's High segment. They have
They're
3
trying to
people,
guess.
and they have to guess like who's high. And they had this TSA agent like looking at them like over the camera, and they were looking at their eyes and asking them questions and stuff. It's pretty funny, dude. Like, hilarious little segment. But yeah, he was wearing our shirt, and he was the one that was high. It was like way too good to be true.
That actually is pretty cool that, you know, we're getting comfortable enough now where like marijuana's being to the point where it's like not being as stigmatized as it was
Yeah, as it
before.
should be.
Yeah.
As it should be. I sent a email to Andy Harris yesterday through Normal, the organization.
Mhm.
Marijuana legalization. They're actually trying to pass a bill. Funny enough, they're making it's like bill number like a couple letters and 420. You know, it's hilarious.
No way.
Like
There was a thing
keeping
on-
the stigma
There was on
into the legislation.
thing on Snapchat where they're saying our shroom's going to be legal, and I'm like, what? Like,
But I think it's Oregon
depends
right
on the
now.
person.
Yeah,
They're trying to,
Oregon's
and
trying to-
Colorado. They both have legislation that's like got enough signatures to then go to like the governor's desk for like a look over, I think.
there's
But
nothing
yeah, it's legalized
wrong with
shrooms.
marijuana. I don't understand why it should be illegal. I mean, there's nothing wrong. I believe it's just the person that takes it. Like, obviously, if you give a gun to somebody, there's, you know, it's going to be one of two ways. Like, it's going to go good or it's going to go bad. Like, not every person wants to shoot, you know, somebody out there, but there's messed up people. So it's like, how can you ever handle a drug? If you're messed up and you take a drug and it makes you better, then there you go. And it also, like, if you know that it messes with you in a way that you don't like, just stop taking it. Like, you don't have to, you know, it's forcing you to it, and everyone's like, oh, it's a gateway drug. I'm like, it's not at all. It's whether you want to choose to find something. I mean, obviously, if it messes you up, are you really going to go to a harder drug than that? Like, I used to get blazed out of my mind to the point where I had to focus on not dying, like, remember to breathe and shit.
Dude, sometimes edibles still do that to you, man.
Yeah.
I actually prefer edibles rather than smoking it, because I always feel like when I smoke it, I end up smoking too much, like trying to keep up with my brother or something. Next thing you know, my freaking throat's burning, and I don't, like, I'm telling my mom, hey, I'm staying home sick from school. She's like, you're not even sick. I'm, like, already carrying a salad bowl filled with Cinnamon Toast Crunch up to my room to watch Friday for the 100th
Mom, I'm
time.
sick.
Yeah.
Not going to school today.
Yeah.
You just got knocked the fuck out.
Yeah, right? too lazy to get up and change the DVD, so I ended up watching Step Brothers 1,000 times to the point where I know every word, or watching the documentary version.
Oh my god.
Are you going to, my brother's like, are you going to school today? Yeah, I got to go to school today. He goes, huh, no, you're not, and then pulls out this joint. I'm like, all right, well, might as well.
All right.
See how my day's going.
Yeah.
But it's like you gotta realize, like, it obviously wasn't for me. I just couldn't kind of function on it.
Right.
Because now I even feel like my brain's still kind of high from all that. I was doing that shit every day. Like, I mean, I don't know how people function like that too.
Yeah.
But I mean, a lot of people feel like they're just, nothing without it at the same time. But it's the same thing. It's like with alcohol. It's really with anything. You can get addicted to obviously anything, but that's not really a bad addiction to in the first place. It's not anything that's going to, you can smoke thousands and thousands and pounds of it and you're not going to kill yourself on it. So it's like the fact that we still have that stuff illegal here, but alcohol is 100% legal.
Right.
Like, that's more of a killer than anything.
Right, and a lot of that has to do with like just the financial things. Like a lot of big, like the big pharmaceutical companies, the big alcohol, like tobacco industries, even textile industries are paying off the government to keep it kind of brushed under the rug. And now, I think especially with the growth of internet, people are starting to get facts right to the palm of their hand.
That scares the crap out of me, dude.
It's
I'm telling
scary,
you.
but it's
when it comes
it's
to Alexa,
progressive.
Alexa cannot control your microwave.
Yeah.
How long until she can control my toilet and I'm taking like a log or something and then she chooses when it flushes? I'm like, no, it's got to go down now. You know what I mean?
You're like, I didn't even get to look at it yet.
Like, I walk up to my
Dude,
buddy's house. Yeah.
I won't ever buy an Alexa that uses my microwave until that bitch can throw a Hot Pocket from the freezer into the microwave for me while I'm still in bed. And then deliver it.
Dude, it's going to be one day you're going to be able to control your fridge and it's going to just grow legs and walk up the steps and hand you something while you're in bed and just go back down the steps. It's going to end up turning into that movie WALL-E where everybody's flying around in those beds like 800
they're all
pounds.
Fat in their wheelchairs.
Yeah.
It's not a bad
Yeah,
life.
that or the iRobot scenario with the Will Smith movie,
Dude,
iRobot, where they're like human looking, sort of.
All right, that movie was badass when he had the robot arms. So
Yeah.
if we can start doing that, then I'll be all right.
Dude, just wait till wait till a real life Terminator happens. We're sending half machine, half humans to like Afghanistan.
So
or Mexico, I guess.
I was talking to my cousin about this. I don't know if you saw my Christmas Eve podcast, but I met my long lost cousin, and we were talking about, you know how they can crash a Tesla, and like that's how all the assassinations. And I swear to God, my podcast always comes down to technology killing people. But literally, it's like the little signal boosters you put in your Wi-Fi plugs.
Yeah.
Okay, so or your electrical outlet, and it boosts your Wi-Fi in a certain part of your house.
Yeah.
How long until they can hit that because it's all like radio waves, whatever it is, that's electro signals that are like boosting your Wi-Fi connection. Imagine until they can tap into the electrical system of your nervous system. So then next thing you know, they EMP you, and then you're just straight up knocked out for like 30 seconds in your house. Then wait for it. There's plants in Africa, trees, that communicate to each other through electrical systems in their roots. How long until you're trying to live an Amish lifestyle and they're eavesdropping into you through a freaking tree? Bam.
Yeah.
How many people like chase the Amish lifestyle?
I'm going to chase it. First of all, when I go up to my buddy's house and Alexa says hello to me when I enter his door, no. He bought me an Alexa. It's still in my little like drawer. I don't touch it.
Dude, yeah, I don't fuck with
Dude,
it.
I don't
she's
like
listening.
that's
You gotta
too
put
much
that in the
control.
garbage disposal.
That's how someone got arrested in Florida. They had a it was a whole they used it in a court case. The Alexa records everything and sends it somewhere into like a Google thing. Same thing when you type in something on Google and then 5 minutes later you get an advertisement for that same thing you were just looking up. It's target advertising. Everything gets sent somewhere so they can send it to your phone and keep broadcasting it until you buy shit.
Yeah.
It's how this world works. I don't like that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's
it's really sketchy.
Only
but at the
Angry
same
Birds
time-
on my phone or Dragon City. I'm sorry, I can't play anything else.
Dude, True Surf though, you can get barreled at any time of the day. Just run on your phone with your thumb. It's epic. True Surf, dude.
Another game to piss off my boss at work.
Dude, it's sick. You can pull into some deep barrels.
And the Swell Fellas doesn't have a surf in the front. It's okay. But
I mean, we like it. We like to do it. We just don't really incorporate it in our music at all.
Dude, I'm telling you, man, I'm proud of you guys. I know that sounds a little corny, but it's cool to see. I mean, I went to high school with both of you, and even though we didn't really like hang out or anything, it's just like, you know, you guys, I always saw you guys, you know, always side by side, kind of like attached at the hip, more like, you know, hanging out all the time, skating, surfing, doing something, or writing music. And then, you know, Chris, obviously you're related to Connor, so it's like...
Yeah, I was forced to hang out with him, unfortunately.
Dude, I know how that is. But it's like... writing music and stuff, I mean, it's just cool that you guys all kind of have your own passions here, and you guys are all, like, pursuing it in the same direction, too. So, you know, I only see it going upwards for you guys, and it's cool to see you guys. Like, how does it feel having your own music poster that's designed like a CD like this? I mean, I saw some of your guys' gig posters. It makes me think of the 311 and Slightly Stupid ones that come out that I spend like $40 on just to hang in my room. Yeah. You know, like, I try, every concert I go to, I try and get a CD, and I always find my favorite part, like, listening to a CD, alright, it's going to be good, especially if you like it. But at the same time, if you go to a concert, it is completely different. Whether you're reacting from whatever you took before or whatever you're taking during. But at the same time, like, I saw Pepper. Okay, they played a song, and then 5 minutes into it, and I might have been just baked out of my mind at the time, so it might be my mind kind of like exaggerating it, but it felt like they stopped playing for 30 minutes and they were just doing crowd work, like talking to everybody, and then the dude went out into the crowd and started taking selfies with everybody, and like, and he gets back on stage and he's still talking to everybody. Next thing you know, he picks up right where he left off. I was like, fuck, like I felt like they played that song like 3 hours ago, and I'm like sitting there like, it just blew my mind. Like, lights went on exactly when they hit the notes and everything, and they just picked up exactly where they left off. And you know, that stuff, and then like especially when like one of them just improvises something, starts doing like, you know, Fleet, I'm a little pea, just like that whole song of his where it's like, it's on that DVD that they have. I forgot what it's called, like Back to School or something like that. It's like one, or it's Off the Map is what it's called. It's like one of their first like live concerts that opened up for the Foo Fighters, and the Foo Fighters at the ending left a whole bunch of like ping pong balls and streamers above Chad Smith's drum set and just dropped them all on the end of the thing. Like, it's those little things where like it's like it's the bands vibing together, and at the same time it's like you guys are having fun, and then the crowd gets that, and next thing you know, that's going to come out like 20 years later in like a movie or a video or something, and some kid that is never got to experience you guys in concert is going to see that and be like, holy shit, like they were just like us.
Yeah, it's funny, like, and it's funny, bro, like the crowd work thing, because a lot of bands like are really good at that, and when it comes to like our live show, like, we just want people to like feel the music we make, and we actually, I feel like all of us have a hard time, like, I don't want to like try to make someone like party by the words I say, or like, you know, like get amped up by anything I say. Like, honestly, half the time we don't even know what the hell to say, so we just don't say anything, and we just play more music, you know.
I'm telling you,
we're trying to
be in throat singing on the pauses.
Dude, wait, what's that video of the guy in the like he looks like he's about to race like Tron, like a Tron motorcycle, but he's got that helmet on. He's like,
oh yeah, the Russian singer.
Yeah, hold on.
The most popular views on the video, it's called Chum Dum Bedroom, Crazy Bedroom. Russian Singer or something. His name's, it's Vitas, I think. It's like Vitas, the fifth element or the sixth element or something. I could be totally off, but it's this crazy, it's like this Russian pop song.
The Sixth Sense. How to Speak Whale.
And it cracks me up.
Or just start being like Patrick from SpongeBob. Leedle, 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 lee.
Yeah, that would work too. Okay, it's the seventh element. Yeah, I was off.
Yeah, dude, am I not wrong though? He looks like he's about to race, like, you guys know what the Tron motorcycles are with like the...
Yeah. Or like Mad Max, but like in Beams. Drag.
Yeah, kind of like, definitely. Like a Mad Max came from Austin, Texas, you know?
Yeah. Do you guys have any like lines down for like a music video or anything? Like being produced by anybody?
Yeah, so we work a lot with a local, really awesome local like editor, photographer, videographer, Maddie Griffin, and we're in the process right now of like getting a plan together to put it up. Kit Kat, take a break.
Yeah, here it is.
What's this?
This is that Russian singer.
You're gonna geek, dude.
Oh my god. Mark, I want you to study this video. I want to see this at the next
I have
concert.
many times.
That's crowd
many
work right there.
times.
But yeah, I just wanted.
And even he can't do it live, you know. When you look at all the videos, it's all lip syncing, you know. Which maybe we should just do that.
Yeah.
I was thinking, hopefully one day we can get to the point where we're just playing halftime shows and not even playing. You know, that'd be sick.
Oh yeah, just like take it.
Yeah, dude.
Like Super Bowl,
honestly,
like
I just
Red Hot Chili Peppers.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I just want to sell out. You know.
Well, I appreciated the honesty of that, of them
Yeah.
like not
They
using
didn't even
like
wanna
quarter-inch
plug in.
jacks like
Yeah.
in their
And
guitars.
they
to
felt bad about it too.
Well, yeah,
afterwards,
it's kinda-
so
everyone was
You're
like-
going to, but like you need to make that statement. You know,
the
like
people that were trying to expose them, like, look at these dudes' guitars aren't even plugged in. It's like, yeah, they probably did that on purpose
Dude,
to
there's-
show you, like, we're not faking it. Or,
There's
like,
going
we,
to be-
you know, or we are, and
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
obvious kind of thing.
When
Yeah.
you guys are
Yeah.
popular, there's gonna be always that one person that's gonna start some conspiracy type stuff. Where they're trying
I
to
hope
prove
so.
you
Yeah,
guys
that'd
a
be so
fake
sick.
image.
I hope
I
so.
can't
Yeah.
wait to be like
Chris
laying-
is from Mars. They
Yeah.
said their music's from Jupiter. Like, obviously, they're all aliens, and Mark's a robot.
Yeah. YouTube.com/anonymous.
Next thing you know, we're looking up conspiracy theories of
Dude,
you
I
know,
hope that
Mark
would be.
sneezing, and then it's like they got his eyes all red, and everything is from the devil or something. It's
Yeah,
like
that is true, though.
There'd be no greater life achievement than like being in a Reddit deep like dark hole and just finding that someone thinks you're from like another planet. You'd be like, holy! You're like laying in bed like in a hotel room, just like scrolling, and they're like have all these theories. That'd be insane.
They convince you that you are.
You know, like-
Yeah, and then you start to think
Maybe
like,
I
where did
am.
like I don't even remember my childhood. What was?
Honestly, yeah, like you can't prove them wrong.
Yeah, right.
Well, if you guys don't elaborate on a lot of like how your music was intentionally created, people are gonna run off with it in some insane ways. Like obviously the
No
story
doubt.
of Bigfoot, it might have just been some dude just doing a hoax or something, but it became this giant like animal. And then you got the chupacabra and all these type of
Yeah.
conspiracy stuffs where I want to have like a conspiracy podcast series too. But it's like, you know, it's when a story's being told and it's being told to person to person to person from another word of mouth, it's like it gets crafted into some serious stuff. It would be the same thing if I whispered, you
Dude,
know,
yeah,
the
telephone?
Swell
You
Fellas
ever
are the
played
best.
telephone?
And then it's like 30 people down the line and the one dude's like, Swell Fellas like breasts? What?
Yeah,
Like,
which is
you
also
know?
true. So.
Yeah.
yeah, so I mean,
Yeah.
they're both facts.
Yeah.
But it's like,
Boobs are tight.
yeah, they're tight. But it's like, it's something that's like, it's getting expressed with the word of mouth. So you guys could be created in some, like, next, you know, maybe 40 years later, I'm sitting in a chair somewhere reading on, like, some factual site. Like, did you know that all the Swell Fellows used to write on cocaine? It's like, I don't think so. But, you know, maybe somebody,
That's
Connor,
not our
being
idea
so
of
quiet. or-
That's not our idea of
Yeah.
recreational fun.
Yeah.
But it's like, you know, that's pretty cool also where, you know, a band can take something like I'm just hoping that with my podcast, like it's something fun I like to do. You know, I like talking to each and every single one of you. Eventually I want to have you guys individually, you know, where I can kind of focus more on, like, I've never really interviewed 3 people at once before, so
It's quite the
It's a
gangbang, isn't
party.
it?
it's- I feel like I'm involved now. But,
Yeah.
you know, I mean, obviously I'd like to hear a little bit more from Connor, but I understand,
Yeah,
like,
I mean,
what can I ask you about
Ask
the
him
band that
something.
you
I'm
want
gonna
to
go
talk
take
about?
a leak.
Yeah, Chris is gonna go to the bathroom.
Can I wear this shrimp pillow? Thanks.
Yeah, you're welcome. It's comfortable too. If you lean your head back while you're pissing.
Jeez, I thought you locked this in here, dude.
I did.
Well, that's the point of the 3
Hockey
people in
style.
one room, right?
Yeah.
yeah,
Like-
I mean, I don't know. Well, we never really. The one question you had about how does it feel to like see, you know, stuff come together,
Yeah.
whether it be you brought up the CD, you brought up show posters, you brought up, you know, like just like projects that we work on, and I think, you know, it feels awesome, and I think it feels cool because
I had a list of questions on my hand I had to ask.
yeah, like
It's a
just
sense of pride.
for sure. And I mean, you know, and you're always your own worst critic, so there's always stuff you look back on and you're like, man, like maybe I would have done that a little different. But you know, at the end of the day, it's like, you know, it just feels really good to be able to like say, you know, what you wanted to say and be able to get it out there. We're such fans, all of us, of, like we were saying, like albums, you know, posters, all that kind of stuff that can that's just another element to the creative side of what it is to like write music, you know.
Yeah,
so.
like the imprinting on you guys from like, you know, just writing songs and stuff. If someone finds a music passion, usually it's imprinting as a kid, like the music vibes you listen to is obviously what you're gonna want to jam and kind of connect. Was that a comfortable shrimp pillow piss?
Yeah, definitely. I had a shrimp in my hand. I had a shrimp on my neck.
I love it. Mark's got the cocktail sauce.
Those are all
Gross. I'd take that for sure.
But it's like when you guys, you know, you're a lot of stuff that you experience when you're a kid, and it kind of forms you into the person you are today. Whether you want to take it in a good direction or a bad direction, I always use the example like if you have two twins, exact same passions, exact same wants, but you place them in two different scenarios. You give one the outlet of having everything it ever wants. It becomes a spoiled kid, or it becomes a kid that, you know, gives a lot or does something. Mm-hmm. And you have a kid that's placed in a really bad scenario a lot when you see like in urban areas or something when they're kind of same kind of person like you has just a different roll of the dice, and they take it a whole different way. Whether you want to take that passion and turn it into something, feel like, I know for me, I was picked on through school and stuff, so I found an outlet in going to the gym every day and, you know, finding that kind of passion towards it. And really, I just want to leave this world knowing that I kind of made a difference. So I always try, like, I cut myself off from people. Basically, once I graduated, I just wanted to be an introvert and just kind of do my little thing and then, you know, live, you know, just you work, you live, you die. And I eventually, that's like, I'm trying to break out now, and I'm really trying to get, like, everybody's like aspects of life. I'm trying to interview everyone as possible. It doesn't matter if you're interesting, doesn't matter if you're boring. I'm not caring about, you know, obviously I care about who listens, but it's like I'm not doing it for them. I'm doing it for me. Like when I interview you, Chris, or I interview you, Mark, or I interview you, Connor, it's like I want to hear what you guys have to say. I want you guys to be talking to Robbie, not talking to whoever's listening out there. I want you guys to know that, like, you know, seeing you guys be able to do something realizes to me, like, if I put my mind to something, I can do it too. And that's definitely, you guys are an inspiration in that way.
Thanks, man.
And even though I've never officially really been to like a Swell Fellas concert, mostly because like either I'm working or something's going on, and it's like I hope to come out soon in the future and see you guys. But it's crazy how I can express my words through communication, which, like, just by talking, like, I try my best to, you know, kind of sound like I know what I'm talking about on my podcast, but you guys express it through music in a way. And it's like the same thing if you have someone that's quiet and shy, but they're able to get behind a computer, make beats, or they're able to write down something and write a book, something that you wouldn't even be able to reach for, just words and intellectual-wise you didn't realize this person had. And it's like realizing everyone has a passion, everyone has an outlet, everyone has something that they're good at, whether, you know, they're really good at something they hate. I believe even if you're bad at something, but you love that thing, you should chase after it. You should definitely take every step forward into pursuing that. Shouldn't leave it out, you know, to dry, wonder what's it going to be. You guys don't want to be 70 years old or something and then hating your life when someone wheels you by the window to basically look outside for the rest of the day. Like, you guys want to chase after whatever passion you had. You just don't want to think back on it and be like, I didn't take it because it was too risky. No, you want to take that shot. You want to go to Virginia, hang out with Carter and freaking, you know, get the stories that guy can try and spit through the very few teeth he obviously sounded like he had in his mouth.
I don't know if he can tell a story. I don't know if he's got it in him.
I'm picturing a guy with a straw hat and like a piece of corn hanging out. So.
Close, minus the corn.
Yeah, just
minus
the
straw
mechanic,
hat.
the mechanic version.
Just
like,
a greased up mechanic version
of Stephen Avery from Making Murder.
Yeah.
Is that ketchup or blood in your jacket?
Yeah.
It's ketchup.
Ketchup, for sure. But yeah. I mean, his wife was really nice though. She was cool. We would call like every day, and he would just give us like no idea when the van would be done, and then finally like 3 days later he calls back and goes, "Yeah, it's a Burt Rod," and
which burn rod is like you basically burned a whole piston in your engine, so like it's a replacement, like a whole engine replacement.
He probably knew that for a couple days and was just like.
See, he basically like
he waited the 3 days to call. He waited.
It was over a weekend, so I don't know if he was just like didn't really give a shit to get us out of there or what, but like he kept it over the weekend, and then Monday.
Sunday is the Lord's Day.
Yeah, probably the one church they might have.
The Sabbath.
I bet that band sucks.
There's a church in Snow Hill.
That
I
church
drove
band
by
probably
and said
sucks.
Jesus is the only way to heaven. I'm like, the first thing that popped in my head was like, I'm pretty sure a gun or taking the expressway down off a building is faster.
Yeah.
But it's literally like in giant like exclamation points, everything.
Expressway to
Jesus is the only way to heaven. And I was like, and I'm in like this backcountry type area. I'm like,
Yeah.
somebody's gonna shoot me if I don't have a religious cross hanging from my rear view.
Dude,
We've definitely called a few of the phone numbers on those signs.
Oh, that dude, that's
When we've been
one of
on
the
the
best
road.
things to do while you're on
Yeah.
the road. Like if you got a long drive, you call like what is it, like 1-800 like
The truth.
For
or-
truth.
Yeah,
Truth.
for truth.
Yeah,
for the
those
truth,
billboards
yeah.
that you drive by on the freeway that's like heaven or hell, and
Oh
then there's
my
just
God.
that phone number, and then and then you call. And
We
then
had
just
this-
because it's
Four
funny.
four three 666
Yeah.
heaven. It's like, wait a
Yeah,
minute,
yeah.
that doesn't make sense.
oh my god.
Exactly.
But it's always
They
a
were
toll number. Like, we're here to help you, and then it's
Yeah.
like, but you have to pay 25 cents a minute. It's like, I'd rather just talk to the woman that's gonna talk dirty to me and tell me I'm worthless.
Slap me, daddy.
Yeah.
Call me Sally. No, but, like the Christian ones are like the truth ones are free. Like so you can, and they'll give you a pastor and everything. It's pretty funny, dude. Like obviously you shouldn't really fuck around with people's beliefs, but we were calling to see what they'd. We were calling to see what they would say about like if you were gay, basically.
Yeah.
And we got our friend. We'll call him Lee for now. He was on the road with us. Lee was on the road with us, and he called and like basically completely convinced the pastor he was homosexual and like
What he should
the
do about it.
and what he should do about it, and the pastor was straight up like, well, hell is a forsaken place. He's like,
We need to
go.
Yeah, we
We're
need
like,
to send you
we
some
need-
brochures
yeah,
to like
can
so
we
you
send
can
you some
figure it
brochures
out.
basically to turn around his sexuality?
Yeah.
And you're like, dude, like
Yeah, he was basically saying with enough prayer. And
yeah, with
like,
enough
whatever,
prayer to
like,
God that you
change
can
him.
you
Did
can
you
not
not
like
record
dudes.
this? That's when I would have probably started making the movie.
Oh
of the
no,
Swell
man!
Fellas.
We were
Yeah.
just all just laughing way too hard, and like I was trying to focus on driving and not crashing.
It's like that one weird church that has the snakes that they all believe in, that if you're not pure, or the snakes will be able to tell. It's like, you ever seen the campaign
Oh
where
my
Will
God.
Ferrell starts getting bit
Yeah.
by snakes? I'm good. It's like that.
Oh my god!
I mean, everyone's got their own little, I guess, kick, you would say. I mean,
Yeah, no doubt.
dude,
You
and
know,
it's
we're
like, we
not
don't
trying to
look,
bash.
Yeah, we don't look
any-
down on any religion, man. It's like
honestly, if
anything
it
that-
doesn't hurt anybody else, then go ahead and,
Yeah.
dive full into it.
For sure,
If
I
you
think-
feel like you can run through a wall and you're going to test it by running into a wall multiple times until you finally are able to go through it, as long as it doesn't mess up my sleeping patterns, I don't care.
Yeah.
Right.
So it's like,
Yeah, I think it's really when it comes down to it, it's like whatever gives someone hope, man. Like whatever someone can believe in and like feel good about themselves, and like so be it, you know. Like
we all need something, but how the world works is everyone wants to throw their opinion in and then try and
sure.
change somebody else's view. But
For
what's
sure.
the two things you were always told not to bring up at a dinner table? Politics and religion.
Yeah.
It's because someone's got. That's two things you can have complete 100% of the facts. Feel like you both are right, and then next thing you know, no one comes down to an understanding.
I just wish everyone understood that no one's right.
Yeah.
What do we know?
Yeah.
Is there an entity
No,
out there?
no one's right, and it's
Or-
like everyone's entitled to their opinion. So like, just keep it an opinion, you know.
Yeah.
That's a strong way of putting it, Chris.
Yeah.
It's true. I mean,
Connor agreed with you probably 10 times the whole time.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Dude. I mean, we're
That's
on
why
the,
you're related.
we ride the same. All three of us ride the same wavelength, you know, like
The same short bus.
same
Yeah.
short bus. Yeah,
Yeah.
69.
Real short.
Yeah, we lock the door.
It's driver Carter.
It's 3 seats and one of us is driving, so
So,
it's a '91 Chevy van.
getting back to that was a giant tangent. Getting back to what Connor's answer was when he was saying that, it's great to see something that you guys produce. Do you guys all feel like, isn't that just crazy how you guys can create something and then see it just grow in such a way? I mean, one day you're going to be walking down the street and there's going to be a kid probably like with a headset on playing. You know, it seems like we're going back in time in a way because phones went from being super huge to where you're like, don't put that up to your head because you're going to get some type of brain damage from it, to going to really, really small. Now they're kind of getting bigger to the point where they're not fitting in your pocket anymore. I mean, eventually we're probably going to have the mixtape again and the track player where, you know, you see the giant headphones connected to a cord. I believe the wireless thing's only going to go so far. But it's like, if you come up to a little kid and he's got your music playing, you'd like see it on his phone or see it on whatever he's listening to. Like, that's my CD. That's going to make you feel some type of way. I mean, it doesn't matter if this is as far as it goes. You know, this CD's as far as the band goes. The band could break up tomorrow or something. I'm not saying that, you know, God forbid, but it's like...
I mean, we're close. We're on the edge.
I see, Mark.
This podcast could break us.
Yeah.
Oh, God.
Yeah.
How did the blank ruin it all? But it's like, you know, it's crazy. It's just a start, or it could be an end. But at the same time, it's written in stone now. Like, you guys have performed, you guys have created something. It's out there. It's never gonna go away. It's like the internet. When you send a Snapchat, you think it goes away. Now that shit gets saved somewhere.
Yeah.
Okay. So it's like it's out there now for the world to hear. There's going to be, you know, I pick up CDs sometimes from my dad or mom's failed bands, like, or I don't know if you guys ever heard of Flytrap. It's like this hardcore rock. I don't even understand the full grasp of it, but people around town, they used to play, and they did like a reunite thing recently. And it's like, I'm reading my dad's old writing journal, and it's just like the worst stuff I would never have thought my dad would ever say, like down into like the deepest, darkest pits of like, I can't even explain it on the podcast. It wouldn't go and be able to be on YouTube, but it's like, hearing it, I'm like, Dad, what the hell's wrong with you? He's like, don't tell me you don't think that way. I'm like, oh my God. Like, it wasn't that I was shocked. That was like, looking at my dad, and like, I see this guy that's supposed to be like superhero, but it was like, holy crap, like, he thinks like me. I'm not that messed up, you know, that type of...
Dude, I think the worst thing anyone can do is like, think that they're alone and they're like in any thoughts that they have that are like that they're repressing, you know. It's like everyone has thoughts that they think are off.
See, that's
to
what
the normal
that's
person.
what gets
no
me
one's
too.
normal.
It's like everyone has their like little secret like oh, that gets out, you know, that thing we're always worried about. And then like some people are like, no, that's not everybody. You know, Jim's completely normal. There's nothing wrong with Jim. I bet you Jim likes being tied up and thrown into a cellar, slapped with bologna somewhere. Like, that's Jim.
Jim's no doubt.
Jim's got some demons.
Jim's got some ball gags for
like
sure.
everyone's got their own little passions. Well, why are we afraid to let those things out? Obviously, you don't want to, you know, run around trying to get people to slap you with bologna and shit. You might be a little weird, but it's like...
Yeah,
Why
I think like just the human ego is like the main reason really for all of that, because
You know,
like it's the same reason like people like judge, and then
we always
like
care
because of the
what someone
judgment
thinks of
some
us.
yeah, exactly. It's like, you know,
I used to be so afraid
yeah.
to get on stage because I was like getting up in front of all these people and like play music. I'm like, I always felt like when I got up there I was gonna like shit my pants or something, like, because I was just so scared. Like, especially the first couple times I played, I'm sitting there like, oh, if I mess up, what's gonna happen? Half the time they don't even know when you mess up, and it's like really the only person that knows is you. And sometimes, like, you know, my brother would always tell me, you know, hey, you missed this part of the song, you know, you did this wrong. It's like, okay, well, I understand that's him being, you know, a brother, but at the same time, it's like only the person that really realizes it is the band. I mean, half the time, like, the bass player didn't notice it, the drummer didn't notice it, nobody really picked up anything. They thought they sounded amazing, and then you hear it, and then you really only hear where you mess up. Someone in the crowd was just like, you're enjoying it. And plus, I think that's also a good thing about going to see a live performance.
Oh, hell yeah, man. The mistakes make it human, you know?
Like, when you hear the singer mess up on a note, he's like, guys, sorry I fucked up. Like, yeah, he says it, like, while everyone else is still playing, and then he goes right back to it. Like, it lets you know that, first of all, I think every band should at least do that in one of their songs while they're playing, so you know they're not, like, lip syncing or doing something like that.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if, like, you don't have to mess up, or you don't even have to state that you messed up. It's almost like a meditation. Like, if you're playing and and you fuck up and you think about that after you fuck up, you're gonna keep fucking up. But like it's like a this too shall pass thing where like if you fuck up, just keep playing and having fun, and like you'll probably play better after. You know, it's like if you sit on that, it's like anything in life. Like you gotta let things go that are gonna weigh you down, and that's the same thing with like if you're in a 3-minute song, you know, which most of ours tend to be like 6 to 10, but. If you're in a 3-minute song and you fuck up at 50 seconds and you sit on that fuck up at 50 seconds, you're gonna fuck up like 3 more times.
Yeah, the whole vibe of the song's gonna be a little bit
exactly,
off,
and
too.
then you're not gonna be like in that mental state of the overall emotion of the song or vibe. If you let it pass, like as you should with most things in life, like if something comes up and it fucks you up, like you gotta let it go, and you gotta learn something from it, but you gotta let it go, because if you sit on it, it's just gonna continue to recur.
I mean, I enjoy like if you listen to like a studio version of a song and then you listen to like a live version or something like that. I always prefer the live version, or like the way it was originally meant, like an EP or something, like before the band became really, really popular, and seeing the way that they wanted it to be kind of played. And then when a studio kind of takes it and turns it into something, it's still good, obviously. It's more produced for, you know, a smoother sound, I guess you should say. But I still like hearing, like, the mess-ups and the little slip-ups, you know, because if you take the time to actually, like, sit, you know, put your headphones on and, like, listen to, like, trip out on Pink Floyd, Dark Side of the Moon, you know, some type of stereotypical album like that, like, you pick up things that, you know, are in the song and just in the music that like a lot of people don't really understand. Take the time. You know, I believe we become kind of closed off to the world in a way when it comes to, you know, when you wake up in the morning, you're not experiencing life 100%. You're really just kind of on autopilot mode if you think about it. We're all trying to get, you know, what we need done to do for the day. We're all not taking the time to slow down. I mean, part of the reason why I like waking up so early in the morning is, first of all, no one's up. I can take a crap in the bathroom for as long as I want, and scroll through Facebook and everything. But at the same time, I like to step outside and kind of like, when it's cold out, like take that breath, you know, take that time to slow down for a minute. And someone that has like, you know, always kind of constantly thinking all the time, and, you know, constantly like, you see me running like motor mouth here. It's like, I'm hyper all the time. I need to take the time to kind of slow it down a little bit and just enjoy all aspects of life, whether it's going through, you know, partying, drinking beer with friends, or going out to eat, or seeing a movie or something. You got to take the time for yourself in a way, but also take the time to experience the world. Like, feel like, you know, the wood of this table, feel like the air hitting your face, hear the trees sway, and like take the time to enjoy the sights of the world, because, you know, they're different all the time. It's part of the reason why I like looking at sunsets and sunrises. It's like, you know, that's something everyone can experience. It's free. You know, all you gotta do is take the time.
It's like getting high off nature, sort of.
Yeah.
It's like it kind of feels like, to me at least, I feel like it almost like tunes you. Like when you're able to like genuinely do that, like it almost does. It is kind of like a high, sort of. In a
Well, it's
weird
the
way.
same thing. Like a lot of people wonder why like I go to the gym all the time. Dude, that stress like release, that chemical your brain produces when you're like lifting weights and shit. It's like getting high to me in a way. It's like I'm running on the treadmill. That same feeling is like it's producing that same little serotonin and chemical dopamine and all that shit that just, you know, that a song can really do. You know, you get a certain type of song, like I've teared up at a song before because it's just inspired such emotion into me, and like the fact that that hits me like that is what I believe the true artist's intent for like producing music is in general. When you see a beautiful painting and something like that, like I always say, if I have kids, I'm having 4 and I'm naming them after the Ninja Turtles because they're named after some badass. First of all, a badass TV show, but at the same time,
Badass artists.
And it's like whether you're writing a book, whether you're writing a song, whether you're creating a movie, whether you're doing whatever, using your brain in a creative way, or just finding a creative outlet for something. It's like when you create something, it's in stone forever. Whether it gets popular or not, it's out there. And like it can get burned up, it's still out there. It gets burned up, turns into smoke, bam, it's in the air, doesn't matter. And it's just, I think that's wonderful. And I think everyone needs to chase a passion, you know. We all kind of, through high school, know those kids that drew all the time. And you're like, what is wrong with those kids? Like, you know, that type deal. that kid's weird, man. He's probably got some pets locked in the basement or something. But it's like, at the same time, that kid had it kind of like, you meet people that are like, feel like they're too smart for this world. There are super smart people out there, and you hear them in an interview, and they talk like they're just like idiots, like they're going through some type of disease or something. But maybe it's just because they can't express themselves in that way. A lot of people can't express themselves with words, so they choose to write. A lot of people can't write, so they choose to express themselves through words. It's like, I just find that, you know, if you find an outlet like that, everyone wants to be heard and everyone's got something to say. And that's the main reason why I started podcasting. So, I don't know. You guys obviously agree to that. I know there wasn't really a question in that, but it's just like, I wanted to end it on, like, you guys, you know, a good note, really. Like, you guys are inspiring some people, and I want you guys to keep kind of doing it in a way. But if I had to ask you, what is your favorite thing about going out to gigs, like taking that trip, besides the fast food or something? But is it, what would you guys say it would be? Would be really the reaction you guys get from playing, like that high feeling you get after, you know, a good performance or something?
Yeah, there's probably like two for me, and one is like, one, just how it feels personally, like to myself, probably first. And then that next best thing is seeing it happen, like with somebody witnessing it from the outside, like somebody there, like watching us play, like when you see somebody really like tune in and sort of connect with it too. Because then it's like, you know, then it's like what we were talking about earlier, whether it be like somebody listening to the song on Spotify or in headphones and loving it, or seeing it live. And like when you like, we can look at the numbers on our Spotify and like see like how many people are listening to it or what songs people like, and we can kind of picture what that looks like. But when you play live and you see it, you know what I mean? Like you can see someone's face, you can watch people react to it.
I actually had a funny story about when I met the Expendables. Like I'm singing their new song or new album at the time, Sand in the Sky. That whole album that came out that a lot of people didn't really like at first because it sounded too like kind of techno-y, dubby. But I sensed like what they were aiming for in their album and everything. So I was like sitting there front row at the Fillmore singing, and I've met this singer Jeff multiple times. So I'm like talking, like I'm singing it with them, and like no one else is really singing the song because they don't know it because it's off their new album, so they're playing a bunch of their new stuff, and I'm singing every single word to it, and like and he's looking down at me, he starts pointing, and next you know he comes down into the crowd like after everything's over, gives me a guitar pick. It's The Big Lebowski, one of my all-time favorite movies. Yeah. He flicked 3 picks at me. I was pissed because he flicked 3 picks at me and I missed every single freaking one. He wasn't letting me know it was happening, so like the first 2 bounced off my forehead.
It's like a fucking Japanese steakhouse. Hey, shrimp now!
Yeah, take the shrimp, you know, it's like that, but it's like,
fuck man, I'm allergic to shellfish. No.
Yeah.
But it's not like me, but I know people. That would suck.
It's funny because I got them all to sign the CD and everything afterwards, and you know, my buddy's like, we got to do something so they'll remember us. I'm like, dude, when I already came up to him, he's like, I've seen you before, and I'm like, yeah, we met at Secrets a couple of times when you were there playing the acoustic set or something. He's like, that's right, it was you and your brother, and you remember. And I was like, I know you had a crush on my mom and everything like that. And he was like, yeah, sorry. And but it was like, my buddy's like, I got to get something, you know, that's going to make us remember him. So he put the flash onto his camera, and like we're sitting there trying to take a picture. And next thing you know, this light goes on for like 10 seconds, and we're like, is the picture going to get taken? And I'm like, he's never going to forget this. And literally after it was over, he was like, I'm never going to forget that. I'm like, right now, you know, it's forever. But it was like, the whole time he complimented me. He was like, dude, the whole time, like I was pointing at you on stage because you were knowing the song and you were reading like it all back to me. Like you were the only one that took the time to listen to our new stuff that thoroughly and analyze every word and get, you know, the vibe we were getting out of it, because that's the reaction I wanted. And he goes, even though the rest of the guys, like all the older people in the crowd were kind of like, you know, like waiting for the stuff they knew to play. And I understood that, but it was like, just me giving him that reaction gave him the best feeling. Like, just being on stage like that made the performance. And obviously, he mentioned about before when they saw me going into the place, it had just snowed. So I saw their bus, and I waved at the bus, like, while they were parked outside, probably, you know, getting recreational. but I slipped on ice and landed straight on my back, like right in front of the bus.
Oh,
I know
no.
they saw that shit,
Yeah.
and they were probably busting out laughing. Like one of them probably choked on a corn dog or something. Like, but it's like he mentioned it, and I was like, I'm glad, you know, that this was actually a cool experience. Like, you know, it almost got rained out. It turned into like heavy snow. You know, we just gotten there. It was cold as shit, and then they didn't have the heat on in the building, so everybody's wearing jackets. And then towards the end, everyone's holding their jackets.
Right.
And, you know, it seemed like it was going to be an overall bad experience. But it's like when you go to a gig and you go to perform, and then like it gets rained out, and like you're dealing with mud and tracking through the shit. You're just like, fuck it. If it's a good performance, all that shit leading up to it and all that shit leading up after to it is just going to create to an even better story. And it's going to make you definitely think back on times you're going to be laying in bed, and it's just going to be like, you're thinking like, damn, I remember when our fucking band broke down. But, you know, it was a crazy thing because that night we got Taco 12 pack, and, you know, we rocked a performance, and we're all like, especially that feeling you get afterwards.
It's stuck in Stony Creek, Virginia for 3 days.
Yeah, exactly.
Carter can't finish your band. Call you to let you
You
know
should have
that it's
asked if you can
fried.
come over for dinner or something. See, he was cooking up some crawfish.
I don't want anything that guy's
Or
eating.
muskrat or something.
Yeah.
I found this possum.
Yeah.
I've got this
Squirrel.
rare breed of rabbit from Nebraska.
Definitely, if you guys make a movie, please go back and see Carter. Like, just take
Yeah.
a video.
Oh my god.
Like, do you remember us? He goes, no.
No, he wouldn't. He definitely
Honestly, as much shit as we're giving him, he got us to that U-Haul
wouldn't. Yeah,
station.
hell yeah. We made,
And
we
he
made our
and he
Florida
helped
shows.
us out, so I would be down to see the guy again.
Just give him a
For sure.
quick high five and a CD and walk away.
No, we gave him a lot of shit because it was a dark 3 days.
It was. It was a.
We were just like, it was our first tour, and we were like missing 2 shows. We felt like an irresponsible band that couldn't make it to shows we already booked.
Oh, you don't want to think like that, especially at the start.
Oh,
man.
definitely. But I mean, like, you know, like I said, that too passed in like a day. You know, like we thought about it, like we're like, oh shit, it's our first tour. Like, but whatever, it's like bound to happen. It's like literally like.
That's
a
good you
telltale
took it in
story.
that direction, though, because a lot of people would give up at that point. Like,
Oh, dude, like
fuck it, we're not going to do the rest of the
we
tour.
don't
Like,
expect anything to work.
I know
out,
a
really.
certain
Nothing works how you expect it to work.
I know a
Yeah.
certain someone I'm not gonna say I'm related to toss him under the bus, but something doesn't go his way. There's next thing I know, there's a couple dents in his car. So I'm like, okay, what's wrong with your hand? And you're a guitar player that just punched the floor. Like, did you think you were gonna go through the floor? I was mad. It's like, all right, but you know, you got to take it in like with its ins and its outs. So it's like. There's 2 ways, like I was saying before, 2 ways someone can take life. You got to take it in the good and the bad. There's going to be bad shit in this world. I mean, you can walk outside and just be depressed because the world's shit. Or you can look at it in a different way and realize, like, yeah, the sun's out, you're up. So it's like...
Well, yeah, dude. It's like, I mean, anything. It's just mentality, you know? It's like...
That's what...
Everyone's... I mean, not everyone's dealt the same hand, but everyone gets, like, the same air to breathe, you know? It's
Yeah.
like... And however you take that... it's
We're
like-
all on a giant rock floating through the space like 1,000,000 miles an hour. And there's animals that communicate through using brainwaves and shit.
Dude,
and the
there's
plants
trees,
talk.
apparently, from
Yeah.
what you just told us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm still fucking freaking out
There's
about
some
that.
shit that goes on in this world where it's like, if you heard it, you'd be like, you ever hear Neil deGrasse Tyson, the guy that created Cosmos?
Yeah.
Okay, just listen to that guy talk for 30 minutes. It's like watching the movie Interstellar. You're fucked up for like 4 days
The
afterwards.
best part about him is, like, he can explain it in a way that, like, the average person can understand it. Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. Like, when it comes to smart people being in interviews, Elon Musk in his interview was like, I made a flamethrower, but I couldn't sell it, so I just called it not a flamethrower.
Yeah.
That I could ship it to people. I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
And then it's like you hear Neil deGrasse Tyson talk, and he dumbs it down in a certain way where, like, you know, he's like half speeding. It's like the same thing I think of when I see somebody working out. Like, who works out at 3 in the morning? It's like, obviously, it's either the really weird people that are kind of like crackheads or something, but there's obviously the people that feel like they're too smart to function around normal people. So that's what you do. I've seen a dude that's like curling 100-pound dumbbells in the gym at 2 in the morning, and he's reading a book while he's doing it. I'm like, what? And he's just like
That's multitasking.
going. I'm like, this guy's like too smart for society. Like, you know, some people function that early. You see some weird stuff, man. You stay up past like
Making gains to the
3 in the
muscles
morning.
and
There's people like you'll come into at the grocery store, like at Walmart or something, at 3
Yeah.
o'clock in the morning, like shopping the best deals because that's when my grandma taught me to go. So I get like the best deals on
They
everything.
do overnight deals at Walmart?
Yeah.
What?
Well, Walmart's 24 hours, dude.
Yeah, I know, but they do deals.
It's the
like-
one store, like, if someone's in the bathroom here and I have to go, I'll just be like, I'm going to fucking Walmart. Like, yeah, it's 10 minutes down the road, but if I gotta go, man, I'm
Dude,
going to
speaking
Walmart.
of Walmart's, like,
Then you gotta buy something once you go in there. Like,
nah, dude, you take your toothbrush in, you take a shit, you brush your teeth, and you roll out to the next.
you
section.
savage.
That's Walmart, baby. Walmart's home.
You savage. You brush your teeth after taking a shit?
Dude, I mean, it's just in the same bathroom. It's not like I'm using the toilet water.
You know what's savage is when people are in the shower and they brush their teeth while they're in the shower, but they just turn the back to the
Just saving
shower
water.
and start brushing their teeth.
Saving
What
water.
is wrong with you? And they're like, yeah, but you leave your toothbrush out when you're taking a crap. And they're like, don't you think that somehow gets particles on there? That's why I put it in the cabinet. I'm like, but it's in your shower. And I'm like, you got to think of it in both ways.
It's like when Cartman, was it a double diet double do or something, and then he drinks and then he farts in the bus.
Yeah.
It's the Shaka Bra episode of South Park. He's like, and it was at that moment where Cartman's feces entered Kyle's nose. It's geek. Nah, but dude, like when we're on the road, Walmart's like, actually when we moved to Austin, we were there for like 6.5 months or whatever, and when we first got there, we were at a Walmart. We lived at a Walmart for like a week and a half, and dude, but anywhere you go, like doesn't matter what city, where you're traveling, like Walmart's a safe bet to be able to park your van, go in at any hour of the day, get like teeth brush or like take a shit or whatever you gotta do, but like,
Yeah, especially on
and
the
they've got
road,
everything
man.
you need. Like if you need something, like there was a couple times, like oh dude, especially in Texas, they had beer in their Walmarts, so like we would just get beer. And shit.
Salisbury has beer in there too.
What?
Yeah.
What
if
the
you go to
fuck?
the one next to Ollie's, they sell alcohol.
What is Worcester County doing?
We're just not open to it yet.
Yeah,
They're obviously
we got a medicinal pot store on Route 50, but we can't sell beer in our Walmart. I think they're about to change it. Alcohol is about to be a narcotic, Schedule 1 narcotic.
Honestly, it should be. It should be like
Medicinal Coors Light.
That's more of an antidepressant than I think marijuana is too. It's just a lot stronger. I believe marijuana is a lot more helpful. I wouldn't think of it as being a super antidepressant. I believe it's like,
Definitely, they're two different depressants.
but we think of alcohol because it's been around a lot longer than pot has.
And what
in
we've
a
been
way.
taught about the things, you know, like just the way we were raised as a society to look at weed compared to alcohol. Like since alcohol had its prohibition era, but like
The
it's around-
DARE program taught me so much. It taught me the benefits of using certain drugs.
Drugs are really excellent.
Yeah, he opens up a suitcase. Did you know this drug makes you stronger? So
Yeah.
strong you can lift cars. I'm like a little child. Like he's not explaining the bad stuff to it. He's just
Yeah.
explaining what I can do on crack.
Dude, I'm actually surprised. You said there's crackheads in the gym. Like, good for them for working out.
Dude,
you
I've been
know?
offered steroids at the gym.
See, that's sketchy.
That's
dude.
pretty crazy.
I actually thought about it at a point because when you're working, I mean, I'm going on 6 years now every single day. So it's like you get to a point where you're like, I want to like get to the best physical like possible spot you want to be. And just taking steroids, this dude did 10 freaking pull-ups. His waist was the size of a Coke can. He did 10 pull-ups, then ate a steak in the freaking gym. I don't even think it was cooked. It was like in the Food Lion package still. He just opened it up. I swear to you, dude. And he just ate it and then did another 10 pull-ups and left. I said, how do you do that? He goes, I take steroids. He goes, you obviously think I work out this much? I mean, he was there for an hour and a half, and that was his whole thing.
Had 20 pull-ups and a
20
steak.
pull-ups and a steak. I'm not joking, dude. I was freaked out. He had the smallest waist. It was this black dude. He was like ripped. He looked like I would have thought he would have been in prison, not because he was black, but because this guy was like any prison movie you see.
He
where
was
the
like
dude's-
prison ripped, is what you're
Yeah,
saying?
any
I mean, obviously he did 20 pull-ups and rolled out of there. I'm
Yeah.
pretty sure all they have is like a pull-up bar
any
on their
like
bed.
any prison you see where there's a dude that's super ripped in the movie, like skinny, like jacked, like that was that guy's image. He was the stereotype. He had the black bandana on, everything, like the white string tank top that you get from like Walmart for like $3 or something.
Yeah,
like.
but he can afford that prime rib, bro.
Dude, yeah, I don't. It was a T-bone or some shit because like he
New
ripped
York
open
strip.
that thing. I mean, savage. Like he didn't have a fork or anything. Just started biting into that
Damn.
sucker. And
Just
he's
cracks
sitting on
the
the weight
bone.
bench. I'm sitting there like, what the hell is going on right now? And he's like, yeah. He goes, I take steroids. And he goes, you want some? And I'm like,
shit.
do you take it like, how do you take it? He goes, I'll inject it into my neck right here. I'll inject it into my ass. I'm like,
Holy
when did
shit.
you do this? He goes, just like 10 minutes ago before I got in here. I was in the gym. I was like, I freaking work here and you're what? Like you're doing steroids and the thing? Like it kind of scared me a little bit because I don't want to offer in some person that's just starting to work out. Like,
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
like,
Now there's like
shit.
needles around.
Yeah,
and
just
stuff.
start
Yeah.
playing music or pick up an instrument. Hey, you know, acid will make your music better. Oh, really? And start
Yeah.
taking it. Next thing you know, the person's getting so freaking trash they
Yeah.
can't write
Next thing
anything.
you know,
It's like,
they pull a Sid Barrett and fall off the face of the planet.
yeah, man, it's like you want to try your best to kind of get a little experience under your belt before you go down into the dark pits of the underworld.
Dude, that's insane. That sounds like a guy that would like take the T-bone and just smash it on the table and drink the bone marrow just for shits and giggles. Like, seriously, can you imagine like just being wrapped
I can
up on
imagine.
steroids, you just break it over your knee and just drink the bone marrow and you
God.
automatically gain like 100% stamina and then you like.
Why don't you just go find a goat and then just kill it yourself and then just start
That-
eating it right off the...
That's murder, bruh.
Is it?
Probably.
Or is that hunting?
Dude, I mean,
I don't
that's
know.
true. Are you
Yeah, where's
eating
the-
it?
Ask a
What-
vegan, I
can you-
guess.
I actually had a vegan on my podcast too. I still got to put his episode up. But,
Really?
yeah, it made me think of animals in a different way. Like, there's people that feed their cats a vegan diet, and
Oh,
those
I know.
cats
Dude,
die.
vegan
at the-
cats.
Vegan
Yeah.
cats.
Look up vegan cat
Oh,
on
dude, yeah.
Instagram. Seriously.
Yeah, we're definitely hip to that.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
That's crazy.
After
That's so
5
messed
years,
up.
those cats look like Bill Cosby. Their
Dude.
eyes all white and wonky and shit.
Dude,
like
I mean,
they're dying.
They need.
They're
need it.
carnivores. Even the
Yeah.
vegan on my podcast, his name's Matt. He told me, he was like, yes. He goes, vegans, like, don't feed your cat a vegan diet. They need meat. Like, don't do that to your animals. You can do it with dogs, because dogs actually don't need meat like cats do. But cats are carnivores. I mean, we're carnivores too, but we're omnivores. We can also survive off plants.
Right.
God, this is like the 5th podcast I've had that's gotten into a vegan thing. I feel
I
like
mean,
It's
I mean, it's a
there's
it's
a bigger
trendy-
outcry
it's a
out
it's
there
a
than I
trendy
thought.
topic.
Yeah.
It's a very trendy
topic.
topic. Personally, I like meat. It's delicious. I mean, it's like my favorite part of most meals.
Do you like red meat?
I
Or
like all
do you
sorts
like
of meat.
chicken?
Dude.
Do you like fish?
I, don't
like
care. Dark
fish
meat,
and eggs.
light meat, sausage.
I also like Fruit Loops and the type of cereals. You know, if you go to Dollar Tree right now, they have chocolate peanut butter Cheerios for $1, a family size box. That's just good
Wow.
advice for you guys. 'Cause,
Chocolate peanut
That is
butter
good
Cheerios.
advice.
dude, it's freaking dope. It's like
It sounds
Reese's
great.
Pieces or whatever, Reese's Puffs.
Dude, my thing with cereal is like, if I eat cereal, I'm hungry like 40 minutes later. Like all that sugar, just like, whew,
That's me in Chinese food.
really.
But I feel like they
see,
put something
Chinese
in
food
it
just
to make
fucks
you-
me up for like 6 hours. Like, I feel like a slug.
Well, it's probably because you load up on rice, I'm guessing.
I mean, yeah. Do you not?
What's the worst thing you could eat when you're on tour, like going on the road somewhere?
A lot of
Ooh.
protein.
Like, like
Dude,
is
you
Taco
really
Bell
quick.
bad? I feel like that's like
I
the
don't know.
optimal time
we're
to
actually,
get that.
We're pretty good at like eating on the road. We don't usually
Yeah.
eat
Eat
fast
clean?
food. We don't eat. Nah, not clean, but we don't eat fast food.
Like, what do you? What's the average snack for the Swell Fellas? Pizza
Um,
combos would be mine.
Tostitos and hot sauce.
Yeah.
A lot of hot
Tostitos.
sauce, peanut butter, and peanut butter sandwiches happen a lot.
Tostitos and hot sauce.
Hell yeah. Dude,
Yeah.
we have.
Do you not have to pull over every 5 minutes to take a shit?
Nah. Well, I mean, not every. 5
That sounds like
minutes,
a destruction for your intestines. Just hot sauce in general.
Yeah, but we're all like big fans of the sauce. So
Hot sauce sandwich.
they were a good band.
Sure were good.
I like those dudes. We still like see all of them around. They're West King string bands, like 2 of the dudes now, and then Corey and Zach are in a band called Reels. They're both really awesome bands. So
Do you have a microwave in your van?
in my van,
Yeah.
that's a dream and a half, dude.
Dude, you got chimichangas in there, man? Are you kidding me?
I mean, you can just do that at 7-Eleven. They got microwaves there.
That's true.
They let you go in there and do that?
Dude, they have a microwave for like
Buffalo taquitos at 7-Eleven.
Those are great.
taquitos.
dude.
It's a
Taquitos are awesome.
Now that
Go
is a shit
if
you will read.
if you go to the one in Ocean Pines. This is some good advice. If you go to the one in Ocean Pines around midnight, they give you, if you ask for one, they give you all of them
Oh
for
yeah,
free.
because they're just like rolled over.
They're just like, screw it, take them all.
Fried.
Just don't get the hot dogs because you will want to die afterwards.
Dude, talk about death to your intestines though. Taquito, man. Oh, that coming out.
That's when you just
a
cut a
slip-
hole in the
that's
driver's seat of the freaking driver's seat and just start
slippery
shitting onto the road.
Yeah, so you don't have to stop.
Get a
Yeah.
bedpan. My
The
mom.
van pan.
How many
My mom's in
times?
hospice care. I can
Yeah.
find one. We get
How many times have you has that? Do you think like a bus driver for like a tour bus, like if they're late for a show or something, and they got to be like 3 states over, just have like a giant Mountain Dew 2-gallon or a gallon liter of piss just sitting there?
Oh, dude, there's definitely been
Dude,
share of piss bottles.
Willie, we
tour
have a
bus-
bathroom. I gotta get to this.
Tour bus drivers are definitely the unsung heroes of
Oh,
rock and roll for sure.
That's the roadies, man. That hide in
Seriously.
the hide
Dude,
in the
fuck
wings
yeah.
of
Yeah,
the
definitely.
place.
Oh yeah. That's like some of the hardest work, dude.
You're carrying
Like,
your stuff now. Are you,
staging.
if you ever become super like high produced like Metallica style, like are you guys gonna have a bunch of people like that?
I mean, you don't really have a
For
choice.
production measures like that, you have to, because like the band can't be the one that's worrying about all that.
Yeah, but also you guys can't be so produced where you're like, carry my shit, peasant. You know, you need to like understand that like.
It's
for
also
sure.
it's
I mean,
also that's like a mindset that some people get, unfortunately, because of their egos. But like, I mean, it's no different than like someone doing their job and we're doing ours. You know. It's
Yeah.
like, that's all it is. It's like if we want a big light show, like we're gonna have to pay a production team to put that on, and a light guy.
Keep a
to make
level
that-
head, man. Don't let it get to your.
Yo, that's the thing. Is like, and I've thought like, I don't know, just in your head, you like, you dream about shit or you fantasize stuff, and like, yeah, it's like if I ever got to the point where I could like pay a guitar tech a salary, I'd do it in a heartbeat. Like I'd have just but it wouldn't be like, obviously you would never treat that person like
In a
anything
bad
other
way,
than your
yeah.
friend that's like there to like aid you and just taking care, like making sure your gear works,
dude.
like keeping stuff that like if you're trying to stay creative, you're trying to like, it's already something we struggle with now. It's like just trying to take care of booking, like managing ourselves,
It's a lot.
and like not carrying the frustration and the stress of the business side of shit
It
into
would-
like trying to like just keep it fun and creative. Like it's really hard, like especially for me because like I'm kind of like an OCD, like it's more like
I can tell
you
you're
know,
the
like-
only one here, but actually Chris is using a coaster as well. But you guys are using a
Yeah,
coaster.
on my thermal
Yeah.
cup that doesn't sweat.
but yeah, it's
On
like
the, are you not going to mention the badass coaster?
Dude, well, I was about to say the only reason I'm using it is because
Yeah.
the holographic Donkey Kong's on it.
Yeah, my
and
Mario
got
coasters.
the Luigi on this end. But yeah, man, it's like
Yeah, it's
you know,
funny.
like,
My mom was like, "Why would you have those in there if you're trying to make it like serious interviews?" I'm like, "Cause they throw a vibe into the
Dude, it's
room."
a
Like coasters are
conversation
serious.
If I had a
Yeah.
freaking
Convers-
Kanye West bobblehead, he'd be sitting on the freaking table.
Yeah.
as
It's a
well.
conversation piece.
Exactly.
yeah.
So I mean, there's one question I asked you guys before we even started the podcast that I want to kind of get if anybody thought of an answer to. A transcendental moment. I know I mentioned it before, but it's a moment where you guys have like kind of felt one with everything. Like, if you've had a bad week and you're just like, fuck, like, is this ever going to end? And then like you see it, like mine's stupid. Like, I mean, you have it multiple times in a life, but it's like seeing a sunrise or like the orange and just knowing that like everything in the world, there's something out there that's for you, and knowing that you're like, everything's okay. It's going to be all right. You guys specifically, each one of you had a moment like that, and can you tell me it?
Yeah, I mean, I think there's been a few, for sure. A lot of them relate to what it feels like, like playing music, I think a lot of it stems to that for me, or like, or just like anything, I don't know, man.
A certain gig or something that kind of sparks, like, you think about sometimes, like, remember that one time, like a certain moment, I guess you would say, that really like kind of left a mark on you, or you think about a lot, like, shit, remember that one time, obviously breaking down somewhere left something in your guys' head where you guys all have this story that connects you, but is there something specific that comes either to the mind of your band or just into your life that, you think about a lot, kind of use in a way? Anybody want to go first?
Yeah, I don't know if it's a specific thing. Like when you say like transcendental, it just makes me think of like
It's like an epiphany kind of.
right. I can't think of like a specific like what I was doing like at that moment, but there are these times where ever so often it just feels like for whatever reason like everything's kind of lined up, like everything is you're super kind of okay and appreciative of everything that's going on, even though like it's the exact like your life is exactly the same as it was yesterday, but for whatever reason you're able to think of like everything's cool with my family and like my friends, and like I'm really in this headspace of I love what's going on with my life. I don't know if like there's a specific moment or a specific thing that triggers that. I actually don't think that there is. It just happens for whatever reason. It's like this perspective kind of flush where you're able to kind of step outside for a second, not physically, but like just step outside of your point of view and really be like, okay, like this is awesome. And I don't know like when that happens, but it does every so often, at least for me. Like those are the best moments when you can truly appreciate everything. If there was a thing that triggered that, you should let me know what it is so that I could do it more often, you know? But I think those are like beautiful moments that truly, because you know, everyone's always like, what's next, you know? That's like the kind of things like every day you're like always looking forward to like the next thing and like what am I going to do next, and like I can't wait for that. But when you're truly able to kind of be super appreciative for like that
stop and be in the
exact moment, you know? Yeah, and it's not even an advice thing, because it's like it's not something that you can just say, oh yeah, you're right, and then you do it. It's just like one of those things where your brain for a second
you guys probably experience it when you guys get off stage after rocking a show or something. Like it's that good high feeling. I mean, just like being outside with your band, kind of sitting if it's cold outside or something, be like, we just rocked a gig and just like kind of like relaxing, just kind of thinking back on it. Like you feel so good, you feel so like high. You know, Bill Burr talks about like it's like the same feeling you get like when someone's like the fame and like the flash photography and all that. It's like the same thing when you get, you know, you're leaving a bar drunk and you're about to drive home and people are all grabbing your shirt trying to stop you. Don't drive. You're like, no flash photography, like pushing people off you. Like it's like that wanting this feeling. Not saying you're all about like ego and everything and like people wanting you, but it's like, you know, it's that same sense where it's like, you know, when you get, it's your birthday, you're like, oh, this fucking day's about me. Like, yeah, like it's that kind of same feeling. I mean, maybe that's just how I think of it, but
yeah, honestly, like my high is like getting in there and like this happens a lot, like when we play like ridiculously packed hometown show, is like I like sit back for a second and like I just think about how lucky we are to be able to like be so, we're so true to ourselves and still people come out and like support the shit out of it.
Plus when you see people you went to high school with there too. It's
yeah,
like, oh,
yeah,
shit.
definitely. But sometimes like they're just there to party, you know, you get to see a lot of faces like actually into it, like and sometimes it's the people that you have never even met before that are like the best, because you're just like, it just like being lucky enough to be able to like really represent who you are in your music and then like completely like hit someone right in the fucking heart like with that and then share that connection, man, like that's insane. And then being able to do it and like look out and see a bunch of people like
that's why you
there for the sounds that you're making, like when you weren't even trying in the first place to make sounds for the people, you know what I mean? Like that's insane. That it's like one of the craziest feelings ever, definitely. And like so appreciative of that, and it hits you like right now, like sometimes you can even go through ruts like trying to run a band where you don't feel like you're making any growth, you know, and that's one of the hardest times like as a band is like Mark said, you're always looking for like what's next. So you're sitting there in this moment of like there's not a whole lot in motion and you feel like you need to get things.
You're at like a dead pause.
Yeah, you feel like, but you're not. Like
yeah.
It just feels that way. And then you go out again and like there's more people than the last time and you're like, oh my god, like this still works. Like, oh my god, this is just like a revelation. It's a revelation after it keeps happening. Like there's never like one point. Like I definitely know for me, every time we leave home, there's like this feeling of like absolute and like total like I'm just right where I need to be, you know, like and I've said it before while I'm driving, I'm like so happy in the van, like just on the way to wherever the fuck we're going, because it's just like we're just doing it, you know. It's like what I've ever dreamed of. And whether that's like whether we ever make it past like a 91 Chevy van that breaks down, you know, like it doesn't matter, because like we fucking
made it out.
It's the best feeling in the world, like leaving. And like now other cities are starting to feel like home because we've been there multiple times, like, and we start to know people almost as well as we know people.
Dude, if I know what you're talking about through just writing my name on a local bar down in Ocean City, writing my name on the wall, you know, with the rest of my bandmates, and you know, if I know what that feeling is, that like sense of pride and just amazement from it, then you guys are probably experiencing that 10 times differently, or you might be experiencing it the exact same way I felt it. And it's like, just knowing that, you know, what you're doing is what you love to do, and it's like it's going somewhere. Even though, like, you gotta understand seasons change, and, you know, obviously you're gonna have your busy times and your times where it's not gonna be so busy. I mean, especially when it's cold as shit out, a lot of people don't really want to go out into, you know, a lot of open bar scenes down here. This is more like a summer town too, but it's like you guys are, you know, as long as you guys don't stop doing what you love, then, you know, you should always be happy in a way.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. There's a really cool like a stick figure lyric. It's life's too short to not do what you love. You got to step out of reality and rise up above. Because, like, I feel like a lot of people are stuck in the mindset that, like, you gotta, like, conform and, like, go to school and, like, do this and do that. And, like, a lot of people, like, just see that as, like, the way to make $1 that will pay your rent and pay your mortgage. And then you do that and you're able to pay for everything till you die, you know? And it's like, what is that if you don't actually, like, do what you love to do and step out of, like, the societal realm and just be able to, like... And some people like do that and like they really love what they do, and that's stepping out of society. Like if you love what you do, like fuck yeah, a lot of people
chase after it, man.
That's the dream, dude.
The way I think of it is every step you take, whether it's in pursuit of what you feel like you want to do or what you want to do, just take that step, man, because you're gonna regret in life when you don't take that first step into whatever. I believe everything that you should be doing right now, every step you take should be put forward to something that you want to do. Everything should be in motion set for that. Whether it's you want to write a certain song, you want to produce a movie, you want to start getting it going. You know, eventually I want to have like t-shirts and shit just because I don't even know where to start with it. But it's like, that's down the road. It's what I have envisioned for what I want to do as a hobby, you know. I also want to learn more about like psychology and the human mind. It took so long for me to realize that everyone has a story and everyone's had, even if you're at the age of 20, like that's where mostly I like to start, you know, at the age kind of restriction I do for my podcast. I like to do 20 and up because, you know, you've made a kind of a bit of a tale. Everyone's kind of been developed, but there's also people in like Africa, like 5 years old that already have a story, and it's like worse than, you know, like the worst thing you could possibly experience. That's, you know, I couldn't even wrap my head around, but it's like everyone's out there trying to do something and trying to become who they are. Don't be controlled by life. Don't be controlled by society in a way. And, you know, revolution, even if you're at the age of 40 and their song Courage to Grow, it's like even at the age of 40, if you find the courage to grow, you know, rise above and all that type of stuff. It's like a song that can invoke emotion, and then also such strong words like Katy Perry's Firework, where, you know, you ever feel like a plastic bag? Like,
dude, we literally just watched the interview.
Yeah, I watched it last night. That's why I brought that up. But it's like,
last week. Yeah.
if margaritas and Katy Perry are gay, straight. Dude, that's an awesome movie.
But it's like, you know,
super progressive.
It's
that didn't get aired in the theaters, did it? Like
they pulled like it's select theater. I actually read about this the other day because I was talking
selected.
about so like because they had all that shit like North Korea, like there was
now
like that hack of
Korea,
Sony too. And like you know, and they were like threatening to like do shit if like they released it, and then basically then they delayed the release of the movie, and they said they were making changes. Never changed anything about it, and dropped it digitally, like on Netflix.
Yeah.
And
Kim Jong was threatening
YouTube
that he's gonna assassinate Seth Rogen and all this shit.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like
too.
there was all this crazy shit going on,
crazy.
and there were like hacks that happened and stuff.
And James Franco was filming another movie at the time with Bryan Cranston. It was like
Why him?
Yeah, why him?
Yeah, that movie
that's
was
a funny
shit
movie,
too.
dude. Have you seen that?
Yeah.
They had another one that came out, Seth Rogen and James Franco recently too, that I totally space out on the name of, but it's like, that's usually was my Christmas tradition we'd watch, because they'd always have a movie that come out at Christmas time. I have this sweater, have you ever seen The Night Before?
Yeah.
With the three of them? I have the Jewish Star sweater,
yeah.
So I'm like, you know, I was always like, something that gets a kick, like laugh like that. It's also cool seeing someone created that through their mind and everything, and like it's.
Yeah, man. I mean, that's their thing. You know,
some people
like,
think of it as like a fart joke, and I'm like, dude, no, that's comedy too. It's like, you know, it makes me laugh. Shit, I'm getting a kick out of it.
Yeah, I mean, it's like an overall masterpiece. You know, it's like It's like, what is a joke to a whole entire comical movie? You know, it's like what is a single to an entire album? You know, it's like that's what that's their album. Like that's
damn, Chris, that was some strong.
It's true. It's true though. It's just like
that was like cracking open a fortune cookie and it's
I mean, you can watch like a
numbers or
YouTube
something.
video of like a clip of a movie, but like the entire story of the movie.
Mark, you going to the bathroom?
I am.
I was just about to. I
Sure,
was just about to compliment you on not going to the bathroom.
Well, there
for
it
the
is.
podcast.
Mark, I think
Can you refrain to your compliments?
Mark, I think if you pee on Alexa,
Mark, we can
gotta
just
pull
wrap it up, man, if you want.
What's that?
Mark's got it.
You can just wrap up the podcast,
Dude, no, I mean, that's up to you. I was just
Yeah,
gonna...
we can keep going.
Mark's,
I mean,
Mark's all wrapped up in the shrimp.
How long have we
pillow.
been doing this?
2 hours. That's what I'm telling you.
That's what happens.
This
dude.
podcast literally came full around from talking of taquitos to talking about taking shits to talking about technology to Walmart
Taquitos,
and
shits, technology, Walmart. That's everything important.
shrimp pillow and then music in general. So it's
Yeah.
well, we've talked about. I mean, if they haven't gotten the vibe from the Swell Fellas yet, then they're did not listen to this podcast. And obviously, after the first 20 minutes, you could probably skip like 45 minutes in to where we get back to the music and then wait 5 minutes and then skip another like 20 minutes until the ending when we come wrap around. But it's like, I enjoyed this whole conversation. And it's like, it wasn't just like, I hope you guys didn't feel like it was an interview. Like, it was like, oh, we're going to, sit you down and then I'm going to sit here and pull your teeth out. I wanted you to feel like you're talking to Robbie, even though like we rarely talk. It's like
sitting in the living room and just shooting shit with your friends. You know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, if it wasn't like 10 o'clock in the morning, I would have been like, you guys, you want to drink some beer or something. But, I don't think you want to start that off for a podcast.
No. We don't want to pull full rock star until we're like 30. You know?
Yeah.
That's when maybe the crown breaks out at 3 and
Start getting
At
the
10
Scarface lines on the table.
Dude, can you believe it was Greg Allman, right, that used to pour like half an orange juice bottle out and fill it with
something
vodka?
like I read in his biography. Yeah, like in his like peak, battle with his alcoholism. He was like waking up and he would buy a gallon of orange juice and like a handle of vodka and just like, or a fifth of vodka or whatever, and he would like pour half the orange juice out and then just or like 3/4 of it out, however it fit. I don't know. And he would like just pour the fifth in there, and he would just.
You know how
like,
you
in
tell
a couple
someone
hours, like,
is
slam
a
the
drunk
whole
on a
thing.
construction site? They usually have a 2-liter of Mountain Dew.
Yeah.
I'm dead serious, because that's not Mountain Dew they have in there, it's alcohol.
Dude, did you know Mountain Dew was originally made to be like a mixer for whiskey?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
There's like...
It seems like a weird pairing to me.
Dude,
Yeah.
like,
When someone drinks a lot of energy drinks or drinks a lot of like soda all the time, they're weaning off something, or they're like, they have it filled with something. Like a lot of people that are like alcoholics, they always have like an energy drink when they're not drinking, or they have like a soda or something. Like it's really, really strange. It's also part with addiction, so it's like it's nuts. It's like the main reason why I got into chemical dependency and like psychology, just seeing how the mind works and shit. Like Chris is gonna think 100% different from Mark.
Right.
And Connor Poole's Instagram name is Connor Poole, and Chris is the holy chocolate milk cow. Like fuck, like. You obviously can tell who's the younger brother in that scenario.
What happened? I'm
Nothing.
looking up this Mountain Dew thing, dude.
Chris is looking up statistics on his phone of how many people are alcoholics.
I'm
Mountain
actually
Dew.
watching.
I just bought Mountain Dew today, so don't freaking
Dude, I'm
throw
just,
me in that box.
You threw yourself in that box.
Look, Robbie, I'm just saying you're an alcoholic and you need to calm down.
Just kidding.
But yeah, so dude, it was originally called Dew Shine. It was made in Tennessee, and it was recently.
They sold the bottles of that in this Walmart recently. It wasn't alcohol. Though.
Yeah, it was like the
old school
original.
bottle,
Yeah, it
Dew
was the
Shine.
original.
Mountain Dew Shine.
Yeah,
That's
ingredients, but the name also stands for a combination of the Hartman's original whiskey chaser mixed with methanol-based racing fuel.
Fun fact, guys.
It may have caused the death of 2 Tennessee teens.
Oh.
Wow.
Thanks for that. This random statistic,
Dude,
Chris.
yeah.
Chris is into his phone right now. Like, holy shit! Like,
Dude, this is an interesting story.
Coke was made with like real Coke or
Yeah.
something.
Yeah.
Did Red Bull have cocaine in it at one time too?
I don't know,
think
man.
so. Maybe.
Four Loko, maybe.
Four Loco was like too crazy, and then they had to dumb it down, and it's still disgusting.
Dude, yeah, 2009, trace amount of cocaine found in Red Bull.
I really like hope someone listens to this 10 years from now and is like
2009.
like
dude,
a fan of the
That was
Swell
10
Fellas,
years
or
ago.
like-
So every 10 years, that's gonna be brought back up in a podcast. That's just my forecast. So in 10 years.
Is there
We'll hear
anything you
about
want to end this podcast with, guys? We've talked about for a good 2 hours, so I think we can.
Do you have anything?
A minute and a half.
You really want to know?
Is there anything you want to ask me, or is there? We can just think of questions right now. What's your favorite color, Chris?
Black.
Mark?
Purple.
Connor?
Probably black.
I like
guess
red
would.
though. I like red a lot. Red's cool. I like all different shades.
Connor's
of red.
gonna change his color now. Red.
Connor, what's your favorite color?
Say red.
Black.
I like
black.
No, I don't know.
I like.
I mean, is black considered a color?
I was gonna say I don't even think of black.
It's like
as
the
a
I
color.
don't. I don't
It's like
either.
the absence
It's the absence
of light.
color.
Yeah.
Color.
Is
It's like
Pluto
just
still a
darkness.
planet? I don't know.
Dude,
either.
he
I think-
deserves to be.
Yeah, I know.
Did
fuck
you
yeah.
just assume Pluto's gender?
Yeah, you just.
I said he
you
deserves
son
to
of
be.
Yeah, you said
he deserves.
to
Dude,
be.
you see,
Yeah.
if you go to Warwick, if you go to
Yeah.
Warwick now, there's an
Yeah,
all
true.
gender restroom, and there's actually a person in my class that's doing a gender like transformation, and I want to actually have her on because I'm not gonna make fun of her if that's how she
Dude,
feels.
well,
Like,
it's like it should be
dude, first
just
of all,
fun,
there
you
was
know?
a
It's
guy
like-
that was a UFC fighter that changed himself into a girl and he was beating up chicks.
See,
and
that's
he didn't
not cool.
disclose
Yeah.
he was a guy before. But his figure is completely different. Like, it's just, you can tell it's a physical dude, like, structure of a guy throwing around chicks and
Yeah,
winning a
that's-
lot. And then
that's
an
a gray area
actual
there.
girl, yes,
Yeah.
I said an actual girl beat the shit out of him. It was like Cyborg or something. Like, yeah.
She was a cyborg.
No, her nickname's Cyborg. It's
Oh.
Chris Cyborg. Is
I was about to say, damn, artificial intelligence is really,
No,
really
she-
taking its toll on today's modern sports
She got
industry.
in trouble for taking male hormones and shit, too.
Well, he should too. She should too. The guy that she.
Shit, I'm a cat. Leave me alone,
Yeah.
man. There's
Dude,
people
I
that
don't
do
know
that
what-
fluid gender stuff. You know, in emails now they do Z's, or all this stuff. The teacher, like, they won't, if they're addressing the class or something, they won't say to he or she. They won't say, like, if it's to me, they won't say he or she. They'll say to whichever you prefer, or they'll just avoid using a gender. in general.
Classic to whom it may concern.
Personally, like, I don't
People are
think
looking to get offended, man.
that's what I
Yeah,
mean.
that's
Is like
about
I
it.
just
Yeah.
feel like if you want to stand up to something, just be what you want to be. But like, don't be offended if someone says he or she. Like, just politely.
Yeah,
Dude, I've
most
gotten
people
in tr-
don't mean anything by it.
Exactly,
You know?
that's
Like
what
if
I
they
mean.
mess
It's
it
like,
up,
okay.
like they don't mean,
That's
any
not always
disrespect.
true, because I've said God blessed you to somebody and someone's like, you believe in God? I'm an atheist. And I'm like, it's what everyone says. It's
Yeah.
like not like
Well,
I'm
yeah,
trying
Well,
to go
that's
after
not on
you.
you
Like,
on that.
sorry,
You know what I mean?
bro.
Like
Well,
that's
that's
not
what
on
I
you
mean.
at that point.
Yeah,
like
that's what I
that's
mean. It's
just
like
on their
It
like.
shouldn't.
But it's
just-
like everyone's looking to be offended by
It's-
something. It's
yeah,
like
that's the-
shit. Like
that's the thing.
it's not meant for you. It's not your slice of pie. I'm sorry you're like allergic to shellfish or something. Like, okay, I still like shrimp anyway. I'll eat a shark's butthole.
Yeah.
I don't care.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah, frick it.
well, thank you guys for taking the time out of your day to be on the podcast. And
Yeah,
like I
thanks
said,
for
hopefully
having
it
us.
wasn't pulling your teeth in any certain way. We were just kind of shooting the shit. And like I
Yeah.
said, if it wasn't 10, we could have been sipping back on some beers or something.
The next one.
Yeah. We'll do a night
We'll
podcast.
do a late
with
night
it.
set. A late
Yeah.
night set.
Yeah.
Part 2 with the Swell
We'll
Fellas.
we'll
Hashtag vegan cats, UFOs, Egypt, you know,
And
Bigfoot
all
conspiracy.
Eat a shark's butthole.
dude. But
Yeah.
on the
Shark's
real,
butthole.
on the real though, like the pyramids, like you think they built that shit? Think
Dude, there's this guy, I've talked about him multiple times, and he's like, he's sketching out on this podcast too many times, but this dude got me convinced. He works at my hotel. He looks like McLovin from Superbad.
Nice.
His name's Reynolds. I'm pretty sure he's been out like to a couple of your guys' gigs. I don't know if you guys seen him, but every time I find a McMuffin in a fridge, I always go up and give it to him. I said, I got a sausage McMuffin for McLovin. And like, dude, I've gotten him like 10. He's like, every time, like, I have a video of it. I'll show you afterwards. But he's like, damn it. Like, because I always find him, dude. But it's, you know, it's crazy. I don't even know where I was going with
The
that.
pyramids.
The pyramids.
The
dude.
pyramids. He got me
See,
convinced for like 2 hours. He was talking to me about Bigfoot, Chupacabra, and all this stuff. Dude, I am a hardcore believer now. And Joe Rogan has this show called, he used to do the show with,
Do you think aliens built the
Sci-Fi or
pyramids?
whatever.
Is that?
Yeah,
You
but
think
it's like
that is
Joe
real?
Rogan has this show called Joe Rogan Questions Everything.
Yeah.
He used to be a fucking like hardcore believer on a lot of stuff, and then he saw a lot of stuff was like bullshit. But
Yeah.
it's like,
Yeah.
I believe the pyramids. There's no way that this 6 ton. If he believes in the pyramids are real, I believe the pyramids are real. Because first of all, one of those blocks is like 6 tons, and the fact that they're cut perfectly into squares, stacked on top of each other, that would take hundreds and thousands of years to even do,
Yeah,
which
think
took them
about
only like a
the
couple
manpower.
thousand years. Yeah. And it's like they're aligned perfectly to line up with the constellation, and like the people's fact that like they say that aliens built it because they hid like secret technology in there and shit, like Transformers, that whole movie. All right, this is like I said, it's ending up like another one of my podcasts. We talk about robots controlling the Earth, but it's like there's alien technology behind that, man. One of there's the doors of that place is 6 tons. There's no freaking way a man could even multiple manpower, especially with the technology they had back then. There's no way. They wrapped their people up thinking that leaving coins on their eyes was a gift for them to get told across the river of Styx in the underworld. Like,
And who's to say that's not real?
they were wiping their ass with sand, basically. I don't believe they had the technical power to do all that by themselves.
You ever seen the cave drawings, dude? They had like sleighs and pulleys and stuff in their pictures.
Are you talking about the Egyptian cave paintings, or are you talking about like? Have you seen the cave of Lavax or Hall? It's called the Hall of Bulls or something, where they had bulls painted on caves and shit, and they were wondering why like people said they used like wax fat lamps, animal fat lamps is what they used. I just learned about this, but they like the lights would flicker when they would like because they couldn't stay lit constant like a light switch. But the lights would flicker, and it would create. People thought that they were just using that for light. No, they actually found out now that that flickering of the light created it was like hallucination type things in the caves because the
Shadows and stuff.
Yeah, well, like when you take a flashlight and you go like that with your hand or something, or if you draw something on the wall and like a light's flickering, that image is gonna flicker. So they'd be sitting in this cave and the light would just be flickering in and out like constantly. So it's like if you're constantly blinking and you're looking at like a work of art or something, it's going to feel abstract in a way and like move around. So it was like they were in a giant movie type thing. And they thought they used that to trip out. But also people said they were just leaving a story behind, like a tale. Like this bull killed this bison or something, something stupid like that. Makes you think, dude. This podcast has really come full around now. Holy shit.
Yeah. But I mean, like, I don't know how if you haven't like seen that all happen, like how do you create I mean, I guess they'd be creating stories out of nothing, but I feel like they were telling like legitimate.
That's what I thought, is that they're telling tales.
Because at that time, like, how much could they really, like, how many people could really like conversate and do it well, So
I mean, it's like it's all speculation though, because I mean, like, there's been geniuses in like every
culture.
like once we did actually like organize language and stuff, like there's been like fucking Einstein like
Da Vinci.
almost 100 years ago figured out that there was gravitational waves that we couldn't even have a way to actually prove they existed until like 100 years later. So like there was geniuses in Egypt back then too. There was people that like were had the so
first
smart
tank that had cannons on either side of it so it could shoot from every single angle. We don't even have that now. We have a tank that has one thing on it and just spins around. A famous German professor had a quote that it was like a German Panzer tank was worth 5 American tanks, but the American tanks always had 6. So it's like, we were cranking them out like McDonald's basically, and they had the better weapons. So actually, in the war, it would be illegal if someone came back and told us that they did this, but they would drop the American weapon and pick up the German weapon because it was so much better than the American weapon, because we were just cranking them out at a faster rate. But like German technology and engineering, they had good things about their stuff and bad things about that. Like Operation Paperclip, I think it was called, where we were taking their information, their documents and stuff, and using it in our own way because they were so much more advanced. They were the ones that, the Nazis were ones that were experimenting with freaking
genetic mutation.
And mental warfare and like all this type of mind controlling type shit that we're now just like trying to dive into aspects of. Like they say we never even landed on the moon and all this type of conspiracy type shit. Like Russians hit there first and everything. It's like You know, didn't China was the first one that just discovered the dark side of the moon or got
Yeah,
pictures of
just
the dark
landed.
side of the moon?
Well, the first one, we have pictures of it. Like, we've been around it, I think, but, like, we haven't ever, like, set.
We're always trying to
down
flash
there.
our chest around in a way. America is, and like China and all this stuff. Like I believe there's civilizations that there's people out there that are like too smart to even talk to. Like, you know, like I said, if you ever watch Interstellar, it's a good movie with Matthew McConaughey. But that movie messes you up for a couple days after you watch it, thinking about like you can be on a planet and, you know, an hour there is 7 years here. Like, you know, that stuff's nuts to me.
Yeah, that's a brilliant movie. Eye-opening.
So,
Sure.
like I said, I appreciate you guys being on the podcast. It's now like 2 hours and 10 minutes in, so I'm going to wrap it up here. But is there anything you guys want to end on besides UFOs and aliens and all that? Anything you want to say out there to the people? Or say to Robbie, say to me.
Is this where we plug what we want to plug?
If you want to plug something.
Kanye
sure.
West 2020.
I don't want to plug Robbie, but yeah, sure.
Well,
Kanye
just,
West.
I guess just thanks for having us,
Yeah,
man.
thank you.
Thanks
Yeah.
for anyone who has listened to music, or even if you haven't listened to it, thanks for being out there. Maybe if you give it a try, maybe
Now,
you
is
like
this, do I have to give
If you
this
want.
back, or is this for me?
That's for you.
No,
That's for you.
that's for you.
Yeah.
I got a CD, so even if this podcast doesn't get any views, I got something out of it as well. It has dragons and a knight and a skull on the front and a goddess, but I don't see any boobies, so it's not 100% in my liking, but
Oh,
okay.
well, you'll figure it out.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you'll see it.
I'll imagine them.
Thanks to our artists, there's some subliminal.
What's his name? Pete?
Pete.
Pedro Mule. This is our name,
Pedro
yeah,
Mule.
Pete.
Shout
Pete's
out
his
to
name.
you, sir. I don't know who you are, but I'm going to have to check you up on Instagram and see if you can make posters for me, because I'd like an out-of-the-blank poster and a t-shirt. Are these coffee beans in the thing?
Yes, we were supposed to put Caffeine Queen on the album, and then we just didn't because we didn't. So that was part of the thing. But I
And
mean,
there
coffee
were-
fueled a lot of that work. So
Coffee fueled a lot of it,
Yeah.
and
Co-
certain recreational drugs.
coffee,
fueled a lot of
beer, water.
it. Taquitos, hot sauce.
Taquitos. We actually there were no taquitos slaughtered in the making of that album. I don't
Dude,
think.
that was like me and my brother's childhood like video game thing. We just get a box of taquitos, throw them in the microwave, and
Yeah.
we throw it in there for like 5 minutes, bring it upstairs, and then like as you worked your way from the outside in to the taquitos, like from like, you know, eating one on the right, one on the left, one on the right, one on the left, until like you got down to like the middle three, then they were just cold as
It'd be
shit.
cold, yeah.
And you're just like, fuck it. It's like a hot pocket. You throw that thing in the microwave for 2 minutes, and then you know that little container you're supposed to heat the hot pocket up in.
Mm-hmm.
Once the microwave's up for 2 minutes, I did a PowerPoint in class on this.
You just
But
let it
once
sit or something.
You let it sit, microwave off, everything, just let it sit in there for 2 minutes. It actually toasts the hot pocket, so it actually
Yeah.
heats up the inside.
It's-
It's called a
yeah.
heating sleeve.
Yeah.
I did not know that.
Wow.
Because I'd always bite into it. First bite was super hot.
Tells
Put
you
my
you gotta
tongue
let
in
it
and
sit.
stick
It's,
and bite.
it's on there.
Yeah,
they
that's
tried
right.
to spread the word,
Yeah.
but not everybody knows.
Gotta read the
word
fine
and the
print.
word.
Yeah.
Word is the word.
We're a man. We don't read instructions.
Yeah.
We don't need map.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thanks for being on the podcast.
Thank you for
guys.
having us.
Yeah, man. Thanks
Cheers.
for having us.